Van Triet was humanity's strongest warrior. In the final battle, after annihilating every monster in his path, he was utterly stunned by an action, the strange action of his own brother in arms. "Why would you do this to me?" Faced with this question, Laui calmly reminisced about the early days. When monsters emerged from the secret realms and destroyed everything, ordinary people like Van Triet were given a chance to become heroes and save humanity, because anyone who came into contact with a secret realm was granted power. This was called a profession. An army of profession holders was formed by Van Triet, marching triumphantly, even conquering the most dangerous SSS rank secret realm. But that was precisely why Laui wanted to eliminate him. He had grown beyond the royal family's control, and they believed that someone with a powerful profession, it could easily shatter the Empire's order. Van Triet was considered their most dangerous enemy, and as a member of the royal family, Laui was especially wary of his power. Only then did Van Triet understand why he wanted to destroy his family and comrades. Laui stubbornly insisted that this was for the stability of the Empire. The moment he finished speaking, a terrifying power was unleashed. Van Triet, still consumed by resentment, screamed his name as a strange energy slowly dispersed into the air. This was followed by a horrific explosion that ended Van Triet's life. His body fell into a deep lake. For humanity's strongest hero to be defeated so easily was because Laui had already tampered with Van Triet's clothes. Along with the explosion, a synthetic poison would mix into the wounds Van Triet sustained during the Great War. His strength was already at its limit. Moreover, Laui had carefully prepared a massive army to prevent any unforeseen circumstances. Faced with the scheme of his closest comrade, Van Triet could only helplessly accept his fate. Thinking back on their old memories, he couldn't help but silently mock himself for trusting such a hypocrite before taking his last breath. Van Triet suddenly awakened the mirror world skill and accidentally sealed his soul at the bottom of the lake. 15 years later, the old battlefield had transformed into a lush, green land. But there were still wolves in sheep's clothing here, using their power to bully the weak. The leader of the group, Din Hook, didn't hesitate to slam his fist into the young boy. The other boys' pain only made them more excited. At their peak, they ruthlessly dunked him into the lake, laughing with glee. Beneath the cold water, the boy lamented resentfully before he died. He still didn't understand why he had ended up in this situation. That resentment awakened Van Triet's slumbering soul. On the shore, another boy trembled as he stepped forward, trying to stop them. In response, Din Hook just gave him an indifferent look. "If he really dies, just have him use a healing spell. Doesn't he have the chanter profession?" He also wanted to make Kyotree his next victim. He also planned to blame the boy's death on him. When Kyotree tried to object, Din Hook moved closer and threatened, "So you want to be drowned too, huh?" Seeing his attempt to reason, Din Hook couldn't help but sneer. He angrily raised his hand, about to deal with Kyotree right then and there. A rumbling sound made Din Hook freeze. From under the lake where the boy was being drowned, a dazzling light flared up. They immediately realized it was a secret realm and hastily scrambled away, as this was something they couldn't handle. Although terrified, Kyotree hesitated for a moment and glanced back. He realized his friend was still tied up there. In an instant, Kyotree turned and ran back. The only thought in his mind was to save his friend. Just as Kyotree reached him, hordes of monsters began to appear. He was still struggling to untie his friend, but by then, the monsters had already caught the scent of humans. A nearby wraith aggressively moved to finish Kyotree off. As he was panicking, a hand suddenly grabbed his collar and yanked him backward. The hero of the past had been revived in the body of a dying boy. He swung his hand toward the wraith. Then he quickly cast Ice-Piercing Gravity Field. Strangely, it was a healing spell, but because the wraith had no injuries, the cast failed. This bizarre action made Kyotree's jaw drop. In the heat of the moment, he quickly created a shield to block the wraith's attack. Confused, Van Triet quickly checked his status window. He was stunned to find that although the body's name was the same, his power attributes were now completely different. Logically, whenever someone touches a secret realm, they are bound to the system and receive an initial profession that should never change. Then, through participating in secret realms, their power would continuously grow. In his past life, Van Triet had clearly advanced to the peak warrior profession. To understand this strange phenomenon, he carefully tried to recall a detail. Back then, he had awakened Mirror World and had been trapped inside it ever since, until he met that boy. It was then that Van Triet vaguely realized he had been reborn in that boy's body. At this thought, he couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. He now had a chance for revenge. But while Van Triet had been leisurely thinking, Kyotree had been breaking his back fighting the monsters alone. When he couldn't hold on any longer, he frantically called for help. But Van Triet's new body was still weak against these small fry monsters. He couldn't defeat them as he was now, and none of his inverted skills were usable, not with this pathetic chanter profession. Even Van Triet had to sneer at it. This was also one of the reasons the body's original owner was always ostracized. Relying on the physical skills he retained from his past life, Van Triet could only temporarily hold his ground. The urgent matter now was to quickly find a way out of this predicament. It had come to this. His only hope was that mirror world skill. However, Van Triet was still quite hazy on how this skill worked. He had no choice but to blindly try it on a nearby resentful spirit. It was only then Van Triet realized the conditions for use weren't met. He couldn't help but wonder if his level was too low, or if he needed a mirror-like surface, just like that initial pool of water. Just then, the resentful spirit chasing Van Triet passed over a small puddle. He tried to activate the ability again. This time, the result was clearer. Level not high enough. Van Triet couldn't help but frown, pondering those 4 words. Then he realized that Mirror World really did need a mirror to be activated in this situation. He had no choice but to try using the resentful spirit's blade as a substitute for a mirror, but after a series of attempts, it still failed. Qiu-Chi, unable to hold on any longer, urgently suggested Van Triet use a more useful skill. In the midst of this crisis, a giant purple pillar of light suddenly appeared. From within it, an androgynous demon born from resentful energy stepped out. Qiu-Chi's face paled at the increasingly dire situation. We're dead for sure, but it didn't stop there. Countless pillars of light erupted all around. Qiu-Chi's face grew even paler. He was trembling so much he couldn't stand steady and fell backward onto the ground as countless elite monsters filled the empty space in the secret realm. Meanwhile, Van Triet was still calmly trying to use Mirror World on every nearby object. As the horde of monsters aggressively charged forward, he frowned, unable to figure out why the skill was failing. Qiu-Chi, on the other side, was already foaming at the mouth. Seeing him, Van Triet suddenly had an idea. He tried using the skill on Qiu-Chi's shield and received a result. Cannot reverse another person's skill. This clue had gradually helped Van Triet understand how to use Mirror World. He waved his hand, trying the skill on himself. This time, the skill successfully reversed. After being reversed, Van Triet's control vines and thorns gained immense power, piercing through all the monsters in the secret realm. Just then, a monster was baring its fangs, about to attack Qiu-Chi. Suddenly, it was struck square in the face by another monster's punch. That monster had actually charged forward to slaughter its own kind. This scene left Qiu-Chi utterly stunned, and this was the effect of Van Triet reversing his skill. The effect changed from imprisoning the target to causing the target to fall into chaos, leading to the current situation. This was the power of Mirror World. A weak skill, when reversed, unleashed miraculous power. This made Van Triet even more excited to see the reversed effects of his other skills. Van Triet smirked. Mirror World. No wonder it's an SSS rank hidden skill. Before him was a scene of chaos. It didn't just reverse the skill's effect. It clearly enhanced other aspects as well. Van Triet silently assessed that if he had used the skill directly before reversing it, not to mention the low success rate, the imprisonment would have only lasted for a maximum of 2 seconds. He sank into thought. It would never have reached this level. So if I reverse my remaining skills, what would they become? The system announced, normal attack blade, consumes 20 mana, duration, 30 seconds, increases attack power by 5%, ends after all mana is consumed. Without hesitation, Van Triet chose to use it immediately. The system announced the change. Reversed magic blade, consumes 40 mana, duration, 60 seconds. Each point of mana consumed will add 10% attack power. He grinned with delight, swinging the blade in front of him. So using the magic blade and casting one skill increases my attack by 10%, huh? System notification. You have used the item. Remaining duration, 60 seconds. Van Triet thought to himself, as long as I activate this skill, and use any other skill, I can increase my attack power. It has extremely high growth potential. Suddenly, a system notification arrived. Level up. Character information. Level 6. Class, Spellcaster. Health, 480. Mana, 120. Stamina and Spirit, +8. Strength, +4. Defense and Agility, +6. Critical rate, 0.6%. Mana recovery rate, 1 per second. Experience, 0 out of 1,200. Available stat points, 3. He was stunned. I leveled up? Van Triet understood. It seems quite a few monsters killed each other in the chaos, huh? He parried a blow with his weapon, thinking excitedly, after I kill all these monsters, I'll get a ton of experience points. He glanced at his health and mana stats with satisfaction. After leveling up, his mana had been fully restored. He confidently moved forward. Before the monster's chaos state ends, I can make good use of this magic blade. Next, as Van Triet attacked, the system's voice announced, "You have used Chaos Thorns. 10 mana consumed. Magic blade effect activated. Attack power increased by 10%. You are using Chaos Thorns." And then came a series of other notifications. Mana, 101 out of 120. Attack power increased by 10%. Mana, 92. Attack increased by 10. Mana, 83. Attack increased by 10. Mana, 74. Attack increased by 10. Magic Blade. Attack power increased by 120%. Duration, 44 seconds. He was surprised. I can't believe it was this easy to increase my attack power by 2.2 times. Suddenly, Van Triet warily turned his head. Just then, a monster charged at him. This skill goes far beyond normal rules. Van Triet parried the blow with his sword. He skillfully attacked it with his weapon. In a flash, Van Triet moved behind the monster. Next came a flurry of attacks that it couldn't react to. Q-Chi, standing to the side, couldn't help but be shocked by this. He was frozen. Is this really Van Triet? This kind of skill? A level 5 spellcaster having this kind of power. Since when do spellcasters have skills like this? He frowned. Relying on my level 6 stats, if I swing across its neck, my recovery rate is 120 mana per second. My power model. With his current strength, Van Triet, standing on the fallen monster, smiled confidently. He could probably take on monsters 2 or 3 times stronger than this. He could even barely manage to deal with level 2 elite monsters. Suddenly, a giant beast's arm shot up from the ground. Seeing this, he frowned slightly. The system announced, Level 21 Battlefield Chimera, a great demon. Born from the resentment of a battlefield from 15 years ago. Race, resentful demon. HP, 10,020. MP, 300. Stamina, 167. Spirit, 15. Strength, 180. Defense, 80. Those tiny monsters scurried past the Chimera. It got pissed and in a flash sent them all to their graves. Witnessing this, Q-Tree broke out in a cold sweat. Van Triet, on the other hand, calmly analyzed the situation. So there's a level 21 hidden boss in this secret realm, huh? Then, it opened its giant mouth and charged, thorny vines wrapped tightly around the beast. You have used chaotic thorns on the Chimera, but right after, system, operation failed. Unit is immune to the chaos status effect. At that moment, he shouted, "Watch out!" Q-Tree used his own body to shield him. A flicker of emotion appeared in Van Triet's eyes. He remembered how Kyoan used to protect him just like this. Back then, he had scolded him, "You idiot! Who told you to charge ahead like that? Why don't you ever listen?" Van Triet froze, lost in the memory, until he saw him get thrown back. He snapped out of it. Q-Tree was sent flying, landing in a pile of bones. Van Triet regained his composure and ran to him. "Are you trying to get yourself killed?" He stopped right beside him. System. You have used basic healing art on Q-Tree. HP increased by 1. MP consumed 54 out of 120. Hissing Blade effect activated. Attack power increased by 10. Q-Tree lay gasping on the ground and coughed up a mouthful of blood. The system continuously announced, you have used basic healing art on Q-Tree. HP increased by 5. Critical hit. Looking at his MP bar, Van Triet cursed under his breath. An enchanter's healing skills are completely useless. He spoke up, "Do you have a life potion?" At that moment, his health was 25 out of 540. Q-Tree replied, "There's one at the bottom of my chest." Van Triet said, "Then drink it." System reminder. Hissing Blade increases attack power by 110%. Remaining duration, 8 seconds. He looked at the Chimera's stats and calculated that with his current strength, he was still a long way from being a match for this boss. Van Triet frowned slightly, but most of these monsters' health has already been depleted with only a little left. He looked at the blade in his hand. This might just be possible. Then Van Triet encouraged Q-Tree, "Hang on for 1 minute." He looked bewildered, not understanding. Van Triet continued, "I'll take care of them." Right after, he dashed forward. With a few simple slashes, he wiped out all the monsters. Announcement. Hissing Blade attack power increased by 110%. Remaining duration, 0 seconds. System, level up by 1 point. HP and MP fully restored. MP, 80 out of 120. You have used Hissing Blade. MP, 71. You have used Chaotic Thorns. Attack power increased by 10. MP, 62. Used Thorns. Attack power increased by 10. Van Triet thought to himself, to beat this boss, I need to increase my attack power by at least 400%. Van Triet fought non-stop. Besides, Hissing Blade only lasts for 1 minute. System. Level up by 1. His MP stats continued to drop while his attack power rose. He made a decision. Therefore, I need to use Chaotic Thorns 40 times within 50 seconds. Van Triet's eyes were filled with killing intent. And level up at least 10 times. Q-Tree was so shocked his jaw dropped. The system continuously announced, level up +1, +1, +1. In no time, he was standing before the Chimera. At that moment, his info appeared. Character info, level 12. HP, 430 out of 480. MP, 94.8 out of 140. Stamina, 8. Spirit, 13. Strength, 4. Defense, 6. Agility, 16. Critical rate, 0.9%. MP recovery, rate 1.22 per second. EXP, 2 out of 2,600. System, Hissing Blade attack power increased by 510%. Remaining duration, 9 seconds. Van Triet said coldly, this will be more than enough to kill it. Right after that, he easily sliced its arm into pieces. He landed, but he didn't stop there. Van Triet spun around and continued with a flurry of slashes aimed at the Chimera's back. It roared in agony, shaking the very heavens and earth. The lightning-fast attacks meant the Chimera didn't even have a chance to counterattack. His movements were fluid, graceful, and decisive. When it was over, Van Triet landed right in front of him. System announcement. The Chimera has been defeated. Q-Tri stammered, I'm not dreaming, am I? He cried out in disbelief. A level 5 enchanter actually cleared the entire secret realm? System. Level up by 3. Character info, level 15. Class enchanter. HP, 480. MP, 140. Stamina, 8. Spirit, 19. Strength, 4. Defense, 6. Agility, 16. Critical rate, 0.9%. MP recovery rate, 1.22 per second. EXP, 54 out of 3,200. Free attribute points to distribute, 9. You have defeated the Secret Realm's Lord. Secret Realm conquest complete. Q-Tree slowly walked over to Van Triet. Is that really you? System, please pick up the dropped items. He continued. How did you suddenly get so strong? He replied softly. Q-Tree. Van Triet saw the image of his old friend in Q-Tree, so he asked curiously, what is your relationship with Q-Bonbon? He answered, stunned. How do you know my great-grandfather's nickname? Van Triet froze, repeating the words, great-grandfather. He thought to himself, he's actually Q-Bonbon's great-grandson? Van Triet imagined that rotten face and cursed, the great-grandson of that little devil? For a moment, he couldn't hide the sadness in his eyes, but wasn't everyone I knew already killed by La Dewey? Then Van Triet spoke up. Your great-grandfather, is he now? Q-Tree interrupted. No, there's no need to talk about him right now. His face showed a hint of grievance. If you don't want to answer my question, you don't have to say it like that. Q-Tree hesitated for a moment, then continued. There's no need to insult me like that. Insult you? Van Triet asked, though he didn't know why. But have you always been hiding your true strength? He stammered, changing the subject. It's time we got back to school. Tomorrow, the school is organizing a trip to the Museum of Modern History. If we skip, we'll draw attention. Although he wasn't satisfied with Q-Tree's answer, Van Triet didn't show it. He figured he shouldn't reveal his identity just yet. If he investigated further, he might arouse suspicion. So he agreed. All right, let's go. The Museum of Modern History, huh? Van Triet thought to himself, feeling a bit of anticipation. It must contain some information about what happened after I died. Inside the shuttle bus, everyone was laughing and talking cheerfully. Only Van Triet and him were silent, as if they were hiding something. He quietly observed the view outside the window. The times have really changed. I've been dead for so many years, Van Triet noted to himself. The world has changed so much. To think they can use products from dungeons to power a bus. He was a little surprised. There were also many things he had never seen before. Some of them were things he had seen in dungeons before. Just then, Van Triet opened his bag. But logically speaking, aren't monster drops the only items that can be brought out of a dungeon after equipping the ring? System notification, Chimera Bone Ring, grade, rare, level, 14. Made from the ribs of the battlefield Chimera, a dungeon boss. The bones can attach the Chimera's limbs to the wearer. Skill books and equipment like this, he thought. They can be taken out through the inventory. They can even be bought and sold outside of the dungeons. System information. Skill book. Robust physique. Quality, excellent. Skill type. Passive. Usable. By all classes. System notification. Flexible physique. Flexible. Reverses passive skill. Permanent effect. Reduces physical damage taken. Van Triet felt a bit regretful, but those things couldn't be put into the inventory. After defeating the dungeon boss, those things would all disappear along with the dungeon. He wondered to himself, what happened after I died? A while later, they all arrived at the museum. Everyone gathered in the large plaza. Teacher Lai began his introduction. Standing majestically before us, he said proudly, is the supreme ruler of our kingdom, the emperor who ended the Laui dungeon disaster. Next, Teacher Lai led everyone inside. I believe many students know that 55 years ago, this very place was the battlefield of a famous rebellion. At each exhibit, he recounted the past. In that year, we were severely invaded by dungeons, especially after the most terrifying SSS-ranked dungeon appeared. At that time, everyone lived in fear. Every word from Teacher Lai carried a heroic tone. But our King Laui personally led the army of class users on an expedition. Despite suffering many casualties, they finally conquered that horrifying dungeon. The more he spoke, the more enthusiastic he became. But it was at that very moment, Teacher Lai was completely engrossed in the story. He encountered a long-planned rebellion, and the mastermind, everyone should already know. He emphasized, it was Van Triet. Teacher Lai's voice turned cold. He was a man trusted by His Majesty, but in the end, that bastard became an ungrateful traitor. Van Triet. So this is what I've become? He tried to suppress his anger and retorted, but we clearly conquered the SSS rank dungeon. We were clearly ambushed by you, he said, gritting his teeth. We can't imagine what the pain would be like. And to be betrayed in that situation. Then, Teacher Lai shouted, but our king overcame this pain and fought through a bloodbath. He continued, finally, with the help of the hero Dinkon, His Majesty successfully suppressed the rebellion. Van Triet repeated the name to himself. Dinkon? He looked around. Is that person here? Suddenly, Din Huck walked over, sneering. Oh? So you bastards are still alive? The person next to him chimed in. No way! Weren't they all sucked into that new dungeon? Another one taunted. Don't tell me that dungeon has already been conquered. A new dungeon being conquered immediately means there was a high-level expert nearby. This comment attracted the attention of those around them. That guy didn't stop. They're pretty lucky, huh? To run into the right person at the right time. Van Triet thought with disdain. These punks. Curious people started to gather and whisper, look, it's Din Huck. What are they talking about? A new dungeon? Did they run into a new disaster-level dungeon? Van Sa also noticed and looked in their direction. Someone exclaimed, damn, they actually managed to survive that? Din Huck put his arm around Kyo-tree's shoulder and provoked him. Your luck isn't half bad, huh? I didn't expect you guys to make it out of there alive, he whispered softly into his ear. But you guys... Den Hook forced each word through his gritted teeth. That day, model, you almost got us trapped in that secret realm. You're dangerously close to paying for this. How exactly do you plan to settle this debt? Xiaozhi shot back. You're clearly the ones in the wrong. I'll report this to the higher-ups. His face darkened as he recounted. Yun Che and I were nearly killed by you people in there. His words infuriated Ding Shu. He pulled Xiaozhi's face close. Hey, what the hell is going on in that brain of yours, huh? It seems you have no idea what the situation is right now. Ding Shu pointed ahead. Look at that statue up front, he sneered. Look at your ancestor being trampled under the feet of a hero, Ding Shu emphasized again. And you are the descendant of the traitor Chao En. Did you really think anyone would side with you? He stammered. Suddenly he roared. You can humiliate me, but you will not humiliate my ancestor. Chao Ji's body was held still, unable to react, as the others began to whisper. What's going on? What's all the noise? Isn't Ding Shu's ancestor the hero, Ding Kun? Yun Che shot a cold glare in his direction. The crowd's chatter didn't stop. The one next to him seems to be Chao Ji. He's the descendant of Chao En. The descendant of a traitor is insulting a hero? The world's gone mad. He stood frozen, bearing the brunt of everyone's criticism. His ancestor Chao En killed so many people. If the hero hadn't stepped in, who knows how many more would have died. Ding Shu wasn't finished with his act. I don't care what you say behind my back. But how dare you insult my ancestor right in front of my face? Just then, Teacher Li stepped forward to mediate. Chao Ji, I've always been a fair person, so I want to say a few words of justice. Chao Ji was still weakly defending himself. I didn't... He grabbed the boy's shoulder and whispered, "Apologize." Ignoring Chaoju's shocked expression, Teacher Lee began to lecture him. The hero back then, spared your family. Even if you aren't grateful for his mercy, you can't be disrespectful to him. With that, he walked away, leaving the boy standing there all alone. He arrogantly placed a hand on Chaoju's head. "See, right now, even if I beat you to a pulp in front of everyone?" "The only thing these people will do is cheer." Ding Shu continued his verbal assault. "Because no one will help a vicious dog when it's being beaten. What's more, you're a particularly disgusting dog." He grabbed him by the hair. "Now, do you still think a hero's descendant like me could possibly be wrong?" Ding Shu grinned menacingly, raising his fist and roaring, "For the honor of my ancestor!" He shouted, "I declare that I won't let this go." But before he could finish, a kick flew straight at his face. He was easily knocked flat on the ground. Chao Ji couldn't believe his eyes. He spoke with contempt. "So the families of heroes are all this uneducated?" But in response to that act, everyone started chattering. "Is that Yun Che? It's like he's a completely different person. Did he really just hit Ding Shu?" They all criticized Yun Che. "Is he insane? And what did he just say? An uneducated descendant? Does he want to insult a hero's family too?" He paid their words no mind. "I remember him being only level 5. Isn't he the weakest person in our class? Did he take the wrong medicine or something? How dare he hit Ding Shu?" Someone with a venomous tongue brought his family into it. "This kid has no father and no mother. He's always been a quiet loner. Now his brain has finally snapped." At this, Ding Shu smirked smugly. He rubbed the spot where he'd been hit. He spoke up. "You're clearly just a punching bag. You should be grateful I didn't kick you out, yet you still dared to attack me when I wasn't looking." Then, Ding Shu ordered his friends. "Perfect! Everyone get him!" Yun Che didn't flinch, getting into a fighting stance. In a flash, he had taken them all down. A punch to the gut made the boy kneel on the ground in pain. Ding Shu coughed up a mouthful of blood. The others couldn't believe their eyes and began whispering. "Huh? What just happened?" He also looked on in disbelief, frowning. "What the hell? I was taken down by that Yun Che guy?" A few people in the crowd spoke up. "Did you see what happened? It was like he just swatted him away and he fell." Those words shattered Ding Shu's pride. "Is Ding Shu this weak?" He went berserk, cursing. "A level 5 trash support. How could he suddenly become stronger than me?" System. Ding Shu has used the skill. Rage. Status. Attack power increased by 25%. Not only that, but Ding Shu also pulled out his weapon. It must have been a fluke. System. Fire Fragment Chi has been equipped. Attack power plus 314. Right after, he brandished his weapon and lunged forward. Nuclear Burst Finger! But Yun Che dodged with ease. "Your opening is way too big." Ding Shu hadn't even touched him, but took a full punch. System. Blade Dance. Magic attack increased by 80%. Remaining duration, 14 seconds. He fell backward in disbelief. Impossible. Yun Che followed up with another kick, leaving Ding Shu motionless on the ground. Just then, the guards ran over. "What's going on? What are you all doing here?" Someone spoke up. "Ding Shu's passed out. Is there a healer?" The people around them couldn't stop marveling. "That was way too fast. Didn't you say he was only level 5? He doesn't look like any level 5 I've ever seen." The other person replied, "I don't know either. Maybe he hid his level?" This display also surprised Yun Sa. A guard immediately scolded them. "No fighting in the museum. What if something gets damaged? Why aren't you controlling your student?" Only then did Teacher Lee step forward, ordering, "Move aside! Wasn't insulting a hero enough for you? Now you dare to knock out a hero's descendant?" He even shamelessly used a weapon, but Yun Che saw his every move. To everyone's astonishment, Yun Che easily snapped Teacher Lee's weapon. The crowd couldn't believe what they were seeing. He spoke up. "Let's not talk about who's shameless just yet. But you, who claim to be fair, seem to be basing everything on Ding Shu's one-sided story." Yun Che continued with annoyance. "You just want to suck up to their family. Isn't that right?" He immediately denied it. "Don't talk nonsense." Teacher Lee continued. "How could I—" Inside, he was reeling. "What kind of equipment is this? Even though I wasn't using my full strength, it still managed to block my club." He waved his hand and a puff of smoke appeared. Yun Che went on, "Then you're just saying whatever you want. A teacher shouldn't be like that, right?" Teacher Lee had to change his tone. "Of course. I will investigate the cause of this conflict thoroughly." He thought to himself, where did he get this equipment? Does he have a powerful backer too? The students on the side exclaimed, "He can even block the teacher?" System notification. Chimera Bone Ring. Durability, 37%. Yun Chi thought to himself, even though it's epic quality, It's still just a drop from a level 21 Lord monster after all. Using it to face a level 35 teacher is still pushing it a bit. With that thought, he turned to leave. So for our punishment, just kick us out. Teacher Lee was too slow to react and stop him. Yun-Che called out, "Chao Ji, let's go!" By the time the two of them were outside, the commotion inside hadn't died down. Is that really Yun-Che? Damn, that's insane. He even blocked the teacher. Is that something a student can do? Terrifying. Suddenly, the teacher shouted, "Hurry up! Use a healing spell on Ding Shu!" A startled student replied, coming? He walked out calmly, with Chao Ji hurrying after him. Yun-Che's mood darkened. As I thought, no one survived. Bon Bon was killed by that so-called hero long ago. He turned his head and met the boy's worshipful gaze. A thought crossed Yun-Che's mind. If I ask him anything right now, he'd probably answer without any hesitation. With that, he cleared his throat slightly. To be honest, I'm not very good at history. Could you tell me about the specific deeds of that hero, Ding Kun? Caught off guard by the question, Chao Ji flailed his hands around awkwardly. Ah, the hero Ding Kun? I don't know if I remember correctly, but he's the one who... He recounted, at the beginning, it seems he already knew about the great villain Yun-Che's plot. So he set up an ambush near the SSS rank secret realm to provide support. That's how he was able to resolve the entire rebellion crisis. Hearing this, Yun-Che repeated to himself, "An ambush near the secret realm." He recalled the scene inside the secret realm back then. The battle had just ended. Suddenly, another legion charged out and ambushed us. At that time, Yun-Che was injured and exhausted, so he couldn't react in time. Chao Ji continued, "The hero Ding Kun, ever since he was a child, and was determined to resolve the main secret realm crisis, which is why he always trained so hard. He once recounted in detail how after being promoted by the king, he traveled everywhere on expeditions to aid regions in crisis." Chao Ji added in a low voice, "For example, the infamous Great Disaster of Eastwall City." He listened in silence. Eastwall City? Yun-Che recalled the scene, when he single-handedly wiped out all the monsters. After a moment, he spoke up. "So, what about that sword?" "The sword that the statue is holding is," he immediately explained, "the flowing cloud sword. I heard it's the sword he used to execute the traitor Yun-Che. It's supposed to be a top-tier piece of equipment." Yun-Che gritted his teeth, thinking, not only did he steal all my achievements and honor, his face filled with rage. He even took my sword. In that case, I'll kill Ding Kun first. A vast city with magnificent classic European-style architecture. Guards were patrolling a stone path next to a large courtyard. Suddenly, one of the soldiers turned his head back, his eyes showing a hint of suspicion. In a small, dark alley, there were two figures. He spoke up. "That little brat?" Yun-Che thought to himself. So vigilant. Why would a wanderer have scouting skills? "Chao Ji, I've already told you we should still go." Look at how many guards there are here, even if we could sneak inside. The moment Ding Shu returns, we'd be dead for sure. Van Triet calculated in his head. Even though I've always wanted to kill that so-called hero, Ding Kun, he continued to think. According to Chao Ji, Ding Kun has been hiding in a high-level dungeon for a long time. I'm not like I was in my past life now. I can't just enter and exit dungeons as I please. Van Triet felt a sense of urgency. High-level dungeons are all guarded by troops. If you want to get in, you must have the relevant pass. He assessed the situation. However, inside that Ding Shu's house, there must be a pass. Van Triet turned his head and asked, "Does their family really need this many guards? Huh? Aren't they just one of Ding Kun's dozen or so descendants?" Chao Ji stammered in reply, "But they're still the descendants of heroes, and they have a dungeon in their house." Hearing this, he became curious. "A dungeon in their house?" Chao Ji answered. "That's right. All the low-level dungeons were bought up by private individuals a long time ago." He lowered his head and continued. "But if you don't have some power, you wouldn't dare to buy one even if you could." Chao Ji added, "Ding Shu often brings his bodyguards with him, so he can kill monsters and level up any time. But for normal students like us, we can only find monsters in the school's dungeon, and even then, we get robbed." Van Triet mused. "These times have really changed a lot." He calmly continued. "Doesn't that just mean the more money and power you have, the higher your level gets?" Chao Ji, catching up, said, "Well, that's obvious." He figured that when normal people graduate from high school, they're usually around level 15 or 20. Plus, after leaving school, many can't access dungeons anymore, so they can only stay at that level forever. Chao Ji continued explaining, "But if you can get a job related to dungeons, like a miner or a ranger in a national dungeon," he went on to explain, By the time you reach middle age, you might hit level 30 or so. As for Ding Shu's guards, since they can enter his dungeon, their levels are probably around 30, Xiaozhi added. As for higher levels, generally only those recruited into the army, he continued, or accepted into official organizations, like the guild or the military academy, can enter higher-level dungeons and reach higher levels. Van Treat thought grimly. So, if I want to get stronger, a pass is absolutely essential, Xiaozhi advised him. So we should just go back. It's too... No matter how good you are, you can't be a match for those guards, Van Triet told himself. With my current strength, it's nowhere near enough to kill that hero, let alone that high and mighty king with all his layers of protection. He suddenly paused, but then spoke. Scouting skills can be learned around level 30, and they're usually small-range skills like listen in, enhanced hearing, summon spirit mouse, and the like. But that's not enough to cover the entire area around the house at all times, Van Treat stated the situation. This isn't a life-or-death dungeon, so most of the guards will be much lazier, he calculated in his head. So if we want to get in, it's more than possible. Xiaozhi looked confused. Lazier? Where are they being lazy? Van Triet thought. At least it's much easier than scouting the blind spots in the high-level dungeons of my past life. Xiaozhi pointed out. Even if we can get in, this is a private dungeon. Even if someone gets killed in there, it won't matter at all, he exclaimed. But why do we have to? Van Triet asked coldly. Xiaozhi, don't you want to change your life? Xiaozhi hesitated and replied, Of course I do. But that's only if I can get into the guild and then... He spoke seriously. Get into the guild? Can you really change things then? The grandson of the traitor Xiaoji, huh? He seemed to shy away, turning his face. Van Triet said resolutely, My destiny can only be changed by what I do now, besides giving up on yourself. Is all based on unknowns, isn't it? He declared forcefully. At the very least, I'm not passing up the dungeon right in front of me. You can decide for yourself whether you're coming with me or not. Van Treat pondered for another moment. Ben, I wonder if your descendants will make the same choices you did. Xiaoji's face broke out in a cold sweat. He told himself, I just can't let him walk to his death. Van Triet gestured with his hand and whispered, thinking to himself. There are no signs of summoning-type scouting skills on this side, Van Triet told himself. So as long as we're quiet... He was extremely confident they could escape notice. Van Triet trusted his judgment. Seizing the opportunity, they could indeed slip in easily. And just like that, they were actually inside. Xiaozhi asked curiously, Is that an underground dungeon? Van Triet revealed, adding, This one is a slightly higher level than the last one. He continued, But there aren't too many monsters because Ding Shu's family clears it out regularly. Van Triet observed carefully, then spoke. There are only 2 small monsters. You go over there and give it a try. Me? Fight them? There's no way I can win. Qiutri's voice trembled. He cried out in regret. I must have been possessed to believe you. If I'd known it would be like this, I never would have come. He screamed in fear. I want to go home. Van Triet stood by, encouraging him. Why can't you fight back? Qiutri yelled in a panic. What chance do I even have to fight back? He reassured him. I'm here. Nothing will happen to you. Qiutri's eyes filled with determination. He mustered all his courage and struck. Suddenly, a monster lunged from behind. Qiutri's jaw dropped in terror as Van Triet watched silently. Just as I thought. He trusted his own judgment. His talent is actually very good. He's just naturally timid and easily frightened, so he only dares to be on the defensive. But his subconscious judgment of spatial positioning is incredibly accurate. Van Triet noted to himself, It's because he's constantly watching for danger all around him. That's why he hasn't lost a single drop of health. He stood silently, recalling Bonbon. Qiutri was losing stamina. I can't hold on much longer, Van Triet concluded with his philosophy. So many people stop moving forward simply because they lack the courage to challenge themselves. He joined the fight, unleashing his own move. Van Triet celebrated inwardly. The kid has finally taken his first steps. Huh? I leveled up? Qiutri asked in surprise. He calmly explained, Experience points are distributed based on contribution. If you hadn't thrown their movements off balance, then even if I killed them all, you wouldn't have gotten much EXP. He walked with a majestic posture. Van Triet was still puzzled. But his movements seem a bit too agile. For a shield bearer, that is. Then he asked, How did you allocate your attribute points? Qiuchi answered honestly, Besides spirit, I just increased them all evenly. He pressed, Don't shield bearers normally increase their agility points? He explained, If I don't, it's hard to find a team at school. No one wants to wait for a slow shield bearer because other people will just steal all the monsters. Van Treat sighed. You should think more long-term. After level 60, class advancements have attribute requirements. He added, for example, the Field Fortress class requires 60 stamina and 90 defense points, so you can't just add points randomly. Q-Chi said in a small voice, a normal person is lucky to even reach level 40 in their lifetime. How could I even think about level 60? That's S rank. Van Treat put a hand on his shoulder and said forcefully, from now on you can start thinking about S rank. Van Treat motivated him further. No, even beyond S rank. A worry lingered in his heart. That's easy for me to say, but it's about time I started planning for my own class advancement. Van Treat thought to himself, my class is Shadow. Everything depends on this hidden skill, Mirror World. It's the only way I can turn things around. He felt uneasy. If nothing unexpected happens, it will become... Van Treat was surprised by a system notification. Huh? My Mirror World can be upgraded? Van Treat engaged a group of monsters head-on. His attack passed through the monster's body with ease. He landed lightly on the ground. The monster attacked with its last bit of strength. He was a little annoyed. Still not dead yet? Van Treat spun and felled the monster with a single blow. He seemed to realize the increased attack power had vanished. Van Treat thought, looks like the duration for Trickster's Blade is over. This skill set is powerful, but I can't fight with it for long periods. He couldn't help but sigh anxiously. My stamina won't last long either. System, level up, +1. Van Treat was slightly surprised. But leveling up like this is already very fast compared to a normal person. I went up 2 whole levels? He looked at the system panel, calculating in his head. Besides, when I kill these monsters, I can also accumulate energy for the Mirror World. System, please accept the dropped item. Van Treat's eyes suddenly flashed with vigilance, sensing something unusual. He quickly leaped to a safer place to hide. Van Treat told himself, the Din family's patrol guards are growing in number. He speculated, have they already discovered an intruder? Q-Tree said calmly, there are a lot fewer monsters now. If we keep going, the risk will only increase. Van Treat didn't answer, observing silently. He's not wrong. Fighting monsters while keeping an eye on the guards' patrol routes and also calculating the timing for Trickster's Blade is a bit of a stretch for me right now. He pondered. Besides, from the skill book that just dropped, the Brick Technique and the Reversed Void Technique skill book. Not every skill is useful for combat after being reversed. Van Treat looked at the Mirror World again, muttering, I'm still about 30% away from upgrading Mirror World 1. He was lost in thought. Its new level 1 reversal skill is already absurdly powerful. It'll definitely be even stronger after an upgrade. His deep eyes made his already calm face even colder and more inscrutable. Van Treat gazed into the distance. If I can kill the leader, I should be able to level up directly to level 2. I might not even get this much experience in other secret realms. Where did this skill come from? He silently decided he should still go check on the boss monster in the central area. In the central area of the Eagle secret realm, an eagle was flying high above. Scouting from high above, while on the ground, a rat used its nose to scout ahead. Van Treat and Q-Tree advanced deeper one after the other. Seeing this, he became vigilant and summoned, not a rat, but an eagle-headed cat. His scouting skills were becoming more and more profound. He seemed to have discovered something. Van Treat was surprised to see the figure of a large person bound by dozens of iron chains, and even guarded. He whispered, over here. Q-Tree stared in astonishment at the controlled secret realm boss. This is the first time I've ever seen something like this. The school's secret realm bosses are guarded by teachers and we're not allowed to get close. He figured those chains must be very high-grade equipment. Van Treat pondered. There were quite a few guards around. If he attacked the boss, it would definitely attract more people. Based on his current level, it would be impossible to kill the boss while surrounded. A guard turned his back towards a small crevice in the cliff face. He acted decisively. First, he had to take out the guard. Van Treat successfully took the guard down. He spoke in a threatening voice. Next up is interrogating you for information. You'd better answer honestly. The old man, terrified, begged, please don't. Whatever you want to know, just ask. I'll tell you anything. The salary the Ding family pays me isn't high enough for me to die for them. Van Treat looked at him helplessly for a moment, thinking to himself, well, this is good. I can ask about the main issue first. The guard was utterly terrified. The hero secret realm passes. The old master has a whole pile of them in his room. They're not rare at all. He gave a smirk full of hidden meaning. He must be a huge fan of the hero old master to get this worked up. Seeing that Van Treat was about to explode, he quickly shouted, It's true, I've seen them several times. The passes are from the old master's study. Right now, he's out with the captain of the guards. The guard added, but those are just temporary passes. No personal information has been entered yet. If you don't have an acquaintance to lead you in, you'll definitely be interrogated. Van Triet warned, you don't need to worry about that. He leaned in closer and continued. First, take everything out of your system backpack. The two of them led the guard outside the secret realm and into the Ding family courtyard. Van Triet asked suspiciously. The incantation skill book you have on you, you really only have one? The old man answered honestly, I really don't have any more. He lamented, the Ding family is very stingy. Basically, anything that drops in the secret realm has to be handed over. We only get to share a few scraps. All the good stuff is kept inside the house. The guard stammered, is also inside the house. He pointed, that's the inside of the Ding family house. Without a summons, regular guards like us can't enter. The guard added, because in the Ding family, aside from the young master Ding Lu, everyone is level 30 or higher, and their equipment is top tier. They don't really need our protection. Van Triet was skeptical. So if I can get inside, I can get the passes, right? The old man stammered. No, the great master is in there. The guard eagerly explained, that mustached guy is level 42. If you run into him, you definitely won't be able to beat him. He reminded him, the old master and the third master are both over level 50 and they're out on business. The guard stressed, if you run into them when they return, it'll be even more dangerous. Van Triet considered entering the house. That would mean facing a great master many levels higher than him. He knocked the guard unconscious, then gave an order to Q-Tree. Q-Tree was surprised to hear his instructions. You stay here. He silently assessed the situation. In that case, I just need to lure him out. Inside the dark and cold secret realm, near the realm boss. Van Triet mused, they're using high-level chains to control the boss. If the boss doesn't die, then the secret realm won't disappear, and they can use it long-term. He also thought, because it's so important, they have to station guards to watch the locks. Van Triet approached a lone guard, thinking to himself, this method is indeed very cautious, but the premise for this kind of caution is, and that no one is willing to die to unlock it. I was already familiar with using iron chains of this level in my past life. The guard panicked. Another guard, vigilant, saw the iron chains being tampered with and turned back. What's going on? Another guard was also surprised. What's happening? Outside, Van Triet struggled with the iron chains, determined. I have to make the great master run out of the house. He marveled. This method is truly perfect. Inside, the boss struggled, sending everyone into a panic. What's going on? Why did the boss suddenly lose control like this? Just outside the secret realm, in the large Ding family courtyard, Ding Ngak gave an order. Stop dawdling. Get into the secret realm and provide support. Q-Tree watched the group of people enter the secret realm. Van Triet mused with satisfaction. Got the level 60 equipment. He thought to himself, now I can easily get inside the house, right? The large courtyard of the Ding family. The entrance to the main gate of the house. A servant bowed slightly, opening the car door. Welcome back, second young master and young master. A man stepped out of the car. It was Ding Hao, level 42, the second master of the Ding family, with a mustache. Following him was a tall young man who walked out slowly. It's nothing serious. Why did you come to pick me up, Dad? I just wasn't paying attention for a moment and got caught by that bastard Van Triet. Ding Hao cut in. Picking it up was just on the way, that's all. Right after that, he warmly approached and opened the rear door of another car. Miss Yun Sa, please, step out. Yun Sa and Yun Yin stepped out of the car together. Ding Hao maintained his smile, bowing to welcome them. Welcome to my humble home. Then he suddenly frowned in annoyance. Huh? Ding Hao kicked his underling straight in the stomach. Don't just stand there blocking the way. The other four slowly walked into the mansion's main entrance, leaving the underling collapsed on the ground not far away. Xiaozhi silently watched everything. Yun Che suddenly appeared and asked, startling him, What's wrong? Did you see the Ding family members leaving and decide not to go in? He observed Xiaozhi's terrified expression. What's with that look on his face? Xiaozhi asked back. How did you get over there so fast? Yun Che explained, That thing is a lord of a secret realm, after all. Even at level 30, it's hard to capture alive. He glanced at the pensive Xiaozhi. So there's no need to cause a scene. They won't be able to recapture it within the next half hour. Yun Che returned to his previous question. By the way, what was it that you saw? He squinted slightly, looking behind the man. That's my youngest uncle, Chao Li, bowing with a forced smile. Chao Zi's face darkened as he quietly recounted. It started back when Yun Che rebelled. Moreover, his entire clan was wiped out at that time. His next words left Yun Che stunned and extremely tense. But even so, There was no need to face the rest of them with such humiliation. A desolate scene of ruined houses suddenly appeared in his mind. Ever since then, ever. The Chow family has had to constantly endure the Empire's malice, Chao Ji said in a single breath. Furthermore, under the shady command of the hero Ding Kun, the bullying has become more and more severe. Unable to fight back against their bullying, everyone could only kneel and surrender. In the end, we could only become servants of the Ding family. Chao Ji gritted his teeth in anger. And occasionally, we're dragged out to showcase the strength and kindness of the hero's family. If the Chow family members want to live, they can only watch the Ding family's expressions. We can only keep our heads down and barely survive. Facing a barrage of questions from that group, two men from the Chow family answered earnestly, "My parents originally thought about wanting to change things." And then he recalled the image of his father with a deathly pale face. As a result, my father lost his mind and went insane. Beside him, Chao Li was forcing a smile, bowing at someone's feet. "And my uncle, he's completely become the Ding family's dog." Yun Che remained silent. Chao Ji clenched his fists. "Me coming here. Was it really the right thing to do?" "I'm going inside," he said, suddenly moving past Chao Ji. He was instantly startled and yelled, "Ding Shu's father is inside right now. He's level 42 with a full set of gear. If he finds you, you're dead for sure." Yunchi had no intention of stopping. In an era like this, where secret realms are controlled, if you don't take risks, there's no hope of changing the situation. His eyes narrowed, a cold glint appearing in them. "Besides, there are some things, that you'll never achieve if you're always hesitant." Yunche turned his head, looking at him with determination. "Chao Ji, I can help you change things, but first, you have to make a choice for yourself." He had already made his decision. "I choose to fight, but I won't force you." Chao Ji was so panicked he stammered, But they're a great family with enough power to shake the world. Can we really stand against them?" Yunche took a ready stance. "The thing I want to stand against." In an instant, his figure shot forward, leaving only a strong whirlwind that tore through the air. He was stunned, unable to react. What just happened? He had flashed from the garden straight to the nearest building. It is this entire empire. Inside the building, Ding Hao lifted his teacup to take a sip. "Oh, the Lord of the Secret Realm escaped its bindings?" Yunsa, sitting opposite him, immediately asked, "Is this an inconvenient time, uncle? We can always visit another day." Ding Hao waved his hand dismissively. No, there's no need. My big brother can handle it. How could a tiny secret realm be more important than Miss Yunsa?" He continued with a smile. "Besides, after hearing that you were willing to come, my father and third uncle started heading home," Ding Hao stated confidently. "So, we have more than enough manpower to handle this problem. Also, I've already contacted Hero Ajia. He's also very, very eager to meet you." On the second-floor balcony, Yunche hid and thought to himself, "Hero Ajia, is that the hero Ding Kun? I remember. To enter a hero's secret realm, you need a pass and a guide." Yunche secretly glanced down at Yunsa. And judging by the way she's being treated, it seems her status is quite high. He narrowed his eyes and thought, "Yunsa, she has the same surname as me, Yun. What a coincidence." With that thought, Yunche turned around. "For now, I need to focus on getting that pass." Down below, however, Yun Yin suddenly looked towards the spot where he had just been. In the hallway, two maids were walking and chatting cheerfully. Yunche quietly slipped past them and snuck into a room. He slowly opened the closed door. Inside the large study, Yunche stood and looked around. Meanwhile, outside the secret realm, in the large courtyard of the Ding estate, a man in a suit and two others emerged together. "We've finally subdued the Lord of the Secret Realm." The man in the suit was Ding Yi, level 42, the head of the Ding family. He had a straight mustache. "It was intentionally released by someone, but we can't find any trace of them now. Taking such a huge risk. It can't possibly be just for a piece of high-level equipment." "I've said it." Ding Yu shouted an order. "Surround the house first." He thought to himself, "That young lady willingly came as a guest, so I can't disturb her for any reason." Meanwhile, Yunche was busy opening every drawer, searching. Nothing. Didn't they say there was a whole pile of them? Yunche suddenly looked at the palm of his hand. "You have used the skill. Dematerialization." As he pointed his finger, a hazy shape instantly appeared. Dematerialization can make objects intangible. Objects up to the size of a brick. Duration, 4 seconds. Yunche opened a drawer full of ledgers. He picked one up, thinking it was a diary. Suddenly, Yun-Che noticed something and exclaimed in surprise, "Oh!" He picked up another book. These are all high-quality skill books. The system information panel immediately appeared. Skill book name: Slowing Light. Can slow enemy units by 20% within a 20-meter radius around you. Meanwhile, in the large courtyard of the Ding residence at the entrance gate, a group of people had surrounded the villa. Xiao Ji, hiding behind a tree, thought to himself, "Why are all the guards running this way? Did they find us?" He worried, "This is just too dangerous. The guards are gathering. Yun-Che, if you don't come out soon, you won't have a chance to escape." Xiao Ji's face paled as he remembered the fate of his father and uncle. "If I don't run and they find me, they'll just have another excuse." His mind was filled with images of everyone being bullied in the past. "Run! I have to run!" Xiaozhi clenched his fists. "I should just leave quietly." The sound of rushing footsteps passed by. "At least I can protect myself. Otherwise..." But then Yun-Che's face and his words before he left flashed in his mind. "I can help you change, but you have to make a choice for yourself first." With determination, Xiao Ji shouted loudly. The nearby guards heard him and immediately turned. "Over there!" He squeezed his eyes shut and ran, charging headfirst. Xiao Ji thought to himself, "Yun-Che, I'll draw them away. You absolutely cannot let them find you." He watched him go and smiled in satisfaction. "Looks like you managed to overcome yourself and chose to fight, huh?" Yun-Che suddenly jumped out and shouted, "The chains and the skill books are with me! If you've got the guts, come and get them!" The men shouted, "Quick! After him!" A system notification suddenly appeared. Slowing light has consumed 50 MP and has a duration of 60 seconds. Enemy units within a 20-meter radius around you are slowed by 20%. Yun-Che paid it no mind and headed straight down. The mechanical system notification displayed the attribute panel again. But this time, the radius had increased to 30 meters and the speed had increased by 30%. Seeing this, Ding Yue shouted an order. "Team 2, Team 3, fall back! Reinforce and protect the Secret Realm Lord! It looks like he's not running outside, he's heading for the Secret Realm!" Xiao Ji stopped in his tracks, looking back in surprise. Why is he leading all of them back in the other direction? As Yun-Che ran, he thought, "So many guards have come out. The Secret Realm Lord must have already been subdued." He ran straight through the entrance to the Secret Realm. If the Lord has been subdued, it must have been after a huge battle. That means its health must be at its lowest point right now. Another system notification appeared. Mirror World, Ultimate Skill. Can reverse everything. Skill level, level 1. Yun-Che suddenly grinned smugly. "If I kill it, I can level up Mirror World." Back in the meeting room, the atmosphere was quiet. Yun-Sha picked up her teacup and said, "The commotion outside isn't small. So, Uncle, you don't need to stay here just to entertain me." Hearing this, Ding Hao, the second master of the Ding family, immediately dismissed it. "It's just a petty thief. With my big brother handling it, everything will be fine." Outside, the head of the Ding family, Ding Yue, was yelling, "Get out of my way! You're all too slow! Charge straight for the Realm Lord!" He commanded directly, "Wanderers and marksmen, follow me! We'll chase that intruder!" By now, Yun-Che had already run quite a distance, but those men were still stubbornly chasing him. He calculated, "Every class gets an additional 3 points upon leveling up, and I've put half of those points into agility. On top of that, there's the speed boost from my sub-skill. With this setup, usually, below level 30, only marksmen and wanderers can keep up with me." After a while, Yun-Che finally arrived. Looking around, he speculated, "The Realm Lord is sealed here. Are they afraid someone will come and kill it? Just as I thought. This is its weakest moment." He told himself, "As long as I focus all my power, I can finish it in an instant." Seeing him, the men shouted, "He's here! Get into formation now!" He unleashed the skill, Chaotic Spikes. Seeing this, the men were terrified. "What kind of skill is that? Why have I never seen it before?" Suddenly, someone spoke up. "It's a skill that causes abnormal status effects. A human's resistance to abnormal statuses can't compare to a monster's, so there's no way we'll be hit that easily." The moment he finished speaking, a scream rang out. "Oh no, someone got hit!" Faced with the chaotic reality, one man's eyes widened. "Impossible! The probability of this abnormal status skill is all wrong." At the same time, Yun-Che broke through their dense defensive line. He thought, "As long as there are this many people, I can get to the low-health Realm Lord." The crowd roared in a panic. "He's charging this way!" "Where are the control skills? Tanks, why aren't you blocking him?" "Don't use that skill on me." Watching their chaos, Yun-Che sneered. "A disorganized mob with no combat experience at all. He wondered if they had lost all their edge after such a long period of peace. A single soldier was struggling to hold it down all by himself. He insisted that if they just surrounded it, it would be a guaranteed kill. Ding Ngak agreed, shouting, "That's right, hold it down!" He equipped more gear and charged forward with determination. "Let me handle this thing." At the same time, the system displayed his personal information. Ding Ngak charged forward with his blade, unleashing Raging Flame Charge. Van Triet's eyes gleamed as he issued a challenge. "Bring it on!" The corner of Van Triet's mouth curled into a cold smirk. Good. He already had a plan. Even though my level isn't high enough to wield it, I can't just use it to boost my stats. Van Triet decided to use the chain. Besides, its durability was level 60 after all. The chain swept through, causing everything to explode. According to my plan, I can use this massive impact force to break the seal. The target appeared right before his eyes. Van Triet let out a sigh of relief. There it is. Then he taunted him. "Thanks for the help, old man." Ding Ngak was infuriated to the point of madness. "How dare you?" Van Triet was satisfied. "I'll be taking the Overlord's experience points now." The ground was a complete mess. Soon after, the system announced Van Triet's level up to level 3. Seeing this, the old man was so furious he was about to charge. "You son of a bitch!" The whole squad of soldiers also swarmed forward. "Get him! Charge!" Faced with this situation, he quickly searched for a skill. Van Triet decided to use the Mirror World skill. Instantly, the soldiers who charged in to attack were thrown back. They stammered, unable to form a single word. Did we fail? After activation, the Mirror World gradually appeared. He glanced around. This is... Van Triet hadn't expected this. Is this the world inside the mirror? No wonder it's inverted compared to reality. Van Triet reached out to touch the screen in front of him, but these guardians seemed to be just illusions. He bent down and picked up a stone. Van Triet was a bit surprised. This isn't an illusion. I can actually take it out? He finally understood. So after this skill reaches level 2, I can enter the mirror world and take things out? But it seemed Van Triet still had some doubts. In that case, there should be some changes in the system, right? Just then, the system panel appeared with a bunch of notifications. Unactivated skills. He was startled. These skills are unactivated? Base skills not yet learned? Van Triet began to speculate. Not yet learned. It seems what's displayed here is the inverted version of all my skills. A thought flashed through his mind. I just need to learn the base skills in reality, and then I can activate them here, right? The level 1 skill inversion must just be a trimmed-down version of the level 2 function. Thinking this, Van Triet scrolled down to see more. Looks like I can choose which skill combinations I want to learn first. I'd better plan my next advancement path. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind blew past. He turned his head and saw a spirit. Van Triet was a little surprised. Other souls can exist here too. It suddenly rushed towards him from out of nowhere. Seeing this, he raised his sword and struck it. So it's already turned into a spirit monster, huh? They attacked in a swarm, but he blocked them all. Van Triet assessed them. They don't seem very strong. But then he suddenly noticed something. A contract suddenly appeared. He exclaimed in surprise, "A contract?" Van Triet read through it. After defeating an undead spirit, I can collect summoning fragments. And I can bring them outside? His mood improved considerably. It's not just the stone, it seems the level 2 mirror world allows me to take items from here. Even the undead spirits, and bring them into reality. A thrill surged through Van Triet. How interesting! Outside, the crowd was in an uproar. The secret realm has vanished. Why hasn't that guy reappeared yet? They murmured amongst themselves. How could he just vanish into thin air? Could it be a wanderer's hidden skill? Hearing himself mentioned, the wanderer immediately denied it. Impossible. Our hidden skills have a physical form and a time limit. They can't make you vanish like that. Ding Ngak exploded with rage. Then you tell me why. How could so many of you let that thing get away? His voice was a terrifying growl. If you can't find it, you'll compensate me for this secret realm. Just then, Van Triet reappeared. The other two fell silent upon seeing him. He glanced around. So, my time in the mirror is up, huh? Do you return to the same spot when you exit? Or are there other conditions? As if spotting a treasure, Ding Ngak immediately gave the order, "Get him!" Van Triet calmly replied, "Don't be in such a hurry. After being surrounded for so long, I should give you a little something in return, right?" He excitedly began to cast. "Have a taste of my undead legion." The soldiers began to panic as they fought back. What are these things? They're demons! But this didn't faze Ding Ngak. Don't panic, they're just undead-type monsters. I've seen plenty of these before. The army struggled to defend themselves. Suddenly, a soldier noticed something. "It has a status bar, and its level is only 20. Upon learning this, he laughed loudly. "See, I told you not to panic." Ding and Yak immediately offered a reward for a counterattack. "Capture him and everyone gets a raise." The crowd roared with excitement, but when they went up, they were dumbfounded. Where'd he go? Meanwhile, Yun-Che assessed that these undead spirits were still too low level. He longed to collect higher-grade spirits, then that rabble would be no match for him at all. The problem here is, but the 20 strongest undead that could be found inside have already been contracted. Furthermore, the mirror world has a search boundary. After entering, he could only move within a 200-meter radius. Yun-Che calculated that he needed to buy more time, to be able to search other places within the mirror world, to see if he could find any higher-level undead. Just then, he saw someone being attacked. A soldier was strangling him with all his might. "You think you can escape? You think I'd let you slip by? I wonder what the reward for catching you is." Seizing the perfect moment, Yun-Che rushed in, attacked, and snatched the person away. Q-Tree's eyes widened in astonishment as Yun-Che shouted a warning. "Let's go." His voice was mysterious. "They're all in chaos now. We should head back and check on our gains." Outside, the battle grew more intense. The undead monsters were getting beaten to a pulp by them, but there was one thing. These ghouls weren't particularly strong. They shouted in confusion. But how can they come back to life after being killed? Suddenly, a strange scent wafted in. A person from outside slowly entered. This was Ding Qua, the third head of the Ding family. He spoke contemptuously. "These things are all summons, even if they can be revived. It must consume mana, so we just need to kill them a few more times." Elsewhere, a man's deep, hoarse voice rang out. "Miss Yun-Sa has returned?" Inside the Ding family home, Ding Hao was bowing his head. "I'm sorry, Father. I couldn't keep her here." The truth is, the intruder was too brazen. In the end, things didn't go as planned. Not only did he escape the house screaming, but he also smashed a window on his way out. Ding Dan, the patriarch of the Ding family, looked furious. An intruder actually got inside the house? He grew even more enraged. "Not only did you fail to catch him, but you don't even know what he looks like. Is this how you people do things?" Being scolded, he cowered. "It's my fault for doing a poor job." But Ding Hao quickly added, "However, Miss Yun-Sa has agreed to go to the hero's secret realm. At least the matter with the A family won't be a problem." Hearing this, Ding Dan gave a cold command. "Find whoever was involved and deal with them all. You, go and see if anything else was stolen." At that moment, Yun-Che clutched the pass card tightly in his hand. He mused, "Although I have the pass card, I still need someone to get me into the hero's secret realm. But there's no rush. The good thing is, this time at Ding Huk's house, I leveled up to 20. However, even though the Chimera Bone Ring is basically broken, I also got more than 10 skill books he had hidden in his house." Yun-Che took out a book. "The Chanter is a support skill," he calculated. "On the other hand, I can rely on these skills to further supplement my own attributes. That's one plan. When the time comes, I can just rely on my own attributes to crush enemies of the same level. Besides, that lord dropped a piece of equipment earlier that I can use later. For now, the important thing is, to get the mirror world to level 2. The summoned undead I've captured will significantly increase my combat power, but that's still not enough. Based on the style of the equipment on the statue, the hero must be at least an S-class branch of the berserker profession. I need to get an undead contract of the same level at the very least. And I'll need to level up to over 50 to have a chance of killing him." Seeing Yun-Che like this, Kyo-Tree fidgeted. "Yun-Che, they won't be able to chase us, right?" Hearing this, he reassured him, "Don't worry, I've already lost them. And our faces weren't seen, so it's fine." Even with this reassurance, he didn't seem very convinced. Seeing his anxiety, Yun-Che understood. Still worried? It's tough for someone his age. He called out softly, "Q-Tree, are there any secret realms nearby where a powerful expert has died?" Q-Tree was startled. "A secret realm where a powerful expert died?" Yun-Che smiled. "That's right. I want to find a higher-level secret realm to level up. As for the powerful expert, you'll find out when the time comes." He tried to recall. "Speaking of a secret realm where a powerful expert died, there is one." His voice faltered slightly. "But that's our school's secret realm. We'd have no chance of sneaking in." Hearing this, Yun-Che looked thoughtful. "The school's secret realm is monopolized? Then I'll just have to rely on some special tricks." At his private residence, Teacher Lee couldn't believe his eyes. He stared blankly. "This is for me? A rare purple-grade skill book? And it's even for my Wanderer class." He was quite pleased inside. "Looks like this Van Triet kid really has some good stuff." But on the outside, he just cleared his throat and put on an act. The school's secret realm can't just be opened for anyone anytime. And I can't just pull strings for you, Teacher Lee added. However, about this secret realm, it's only been open to graduating students recently. Generally, underclassmen can't participate. However, if you're an exceptionally outstanding student, you might be able to join the expedition. With the teacher's recommendation, he promised, I will do my best to help you get a spot. Meanwhile, outside the secret realm, the students were all showing their determination. This might be the last secret realm I'll ever get to enter in my life. I have to grind as many monsters as I can, someone else frankly admitted. If it weren't for the hero's gift, we wouldn't even have this chance. Thank you, hero. Despite everyone's excitement, Van Triet felt that something was off about this secret realm. Just then, Teacher Lee proudly announced, This is the hero's secret realm. It was gifted to our school by the hero. Legend has it that the hero himself once fought in here. Perhaps traces of him still remain somewhere inside. In another corner, Kyo Tree kept his head down, deep in thought. The hero's secret realm. Isn't this where the hero bravely slayed the traitor, Kyu-an? He was torn inside, wondering if he should tell Van Triet. Teacher Lee continued, However, the level of this secret realm is very low. Just remember to be mindful of your strength. Little Z, you lead everyone in. He looked resentful. Then how am I supposed to level up? He cut him off and pushed him forward. All right, stop complaining. The secret realm is open. Hurry up and get in. That guy, Z, started mocking. An underclassman is here too? He scratched his head in frustration. So annoying. Now I have to carry 2 dead weights. See, I warned them. After you get in, you guys stay behind me. Don't cause any trouble for me. Otherwise, if you get killed, I'm not taking any responsibility. They slowly entered the secret realm. A chill ran down Van Triet's spine. A level 24-10. Secret realm? He wondered as he walked. Why do I have such a dangerous feeling about this place? Inside the hero's secret realm, many people had already entered. Someone wondered, what's that? Van Am and Van Sa are here too? They were curious. Aren't they underclassmen? I took the opportunity to mock him. See? Those 2 underclassmen got in too, didn't they? A perverted look appeared on his face. If only Van Sa and her group could be transferred over here. Leading cute girls gives me so much more motivation. That guy Z was practically drooling. Maybe I could even... Just then someone walked over and reminded him, Stop dreaming. They're probably over level 30. We're the ones who asked them to lead us. That person added, Besides, don't even think about punching above your weight. He pouted and replied, I know. I was just kidding. C's eyes still darted over towards the 2 girls. At the same time, the 2 sisters, Van Sa and Van Am, also approached. He was about to call out, Van Sa, but she walked right past him. Van Triet wondered, who is this person? He searched his memories and recalled a guest at the Din family's house, someone with a high status. Why is she approaching me? Did she know the original owner of this body? Or is she here to stand up for Din Hook? Van Sa suddenly spoke up. I saw you at the Memorial Museum yesterday. Your skills aren't bad and your voice is very distinctive. Van Triet was confused, wondering why she was initiating a conversation. She suddenly leaned in close, a dangerous glint in her eyes. Both the voice and the sound of shattering glass were very clear. At this, his eyes flew open. This person. Just from the 2 shouts I made yesterday. She already figured out who I am. In an instant, Van Sa had changed her equipment. She winked. All right, greetings are over. That's all for today. She turned back and said, Let's go explore ahead. Van Triet stood quietly in a corner, assessing the situation. She recognized me but didn't expose me in front of everyone. Instead, she told me this way. Told me, Is she warning me? He recalled that Din Hook could indeed recognize his voice. At this point, he just hoped that as long as the Din family doesn't find him in the short term, it'll be fine. At my current leveling speed, I won't have to worry for much longer. Van Triet's gaze drifted into the distance. Since she's shown goodwill, I should give her a warning too. His voice rang out, warning them, Be careful. This secret realm has a dangerous aura. Van Sa's footsteps paused. Now that you mention it, there really is a strange feeling here. Based on my level, I normally wouldn't have paid it any mind. She gave a gracious nod. But thank you for the warning. Seeing the 2 of them talking, the crowd immediately started to buzz. Is that even Van Sa anymore? Isn't she supposed to be really cold? But why are they all swarming him? Let's go ask Van Triet and get to the bottom of this. Hey, how do you know Van Sa? Do you 2 know each other? Yeah, that's right. Can you introduce us? He holds up a hand, refusing. Sorry, we have to go. Hearing that, they react. Go? You guys want to go it alone? The weakest monsters here are at least level 20. You two underclassmen could run into any random small monster and get wiped out. The guy named Ta speaks up, just let them go. He continues, being connected to Vansa can't be a bad thing, so I doubt their levels are that low. They were confused. But Teacher Lai told us to keep an eye on them. So how could their levels... The guy named Ta cuts them off loudly. Don't forget our real purpose for coming here. The fewer people who know about that place, the better. It's a rare spirit stone. Do you want to share it with them? After his outburst, he calms down. Anyway, everyone's equipped with an emergency flare, so let's not bother with them anymore. He acts like that on the outside, but inside, Ta is still bitter. On what damn basis does a normal kid like him get to know Vansa? He's ambitious. If they're that clueless about their own strength, they deserve to die. At the entrance to the secret realm, Teacher Lai is surprised to see a student running over. You're... Din Huk? Why are you here? The boy questions him menacingly. A team just went in, didn't they? Teacher Lai, a bit panicked, replies, Yes, that's right. Well, what do you want? Din Huk recalls his father's warning. Van Triet, Kyotri, son, don't think about getting back at them just because they beat you up at the Memorial Museum, and try to pin this on them. Your old man doesn't have time to deal with your petty problems right now. Seeing this, he yells, but it really was them who broke in. I heard their voices. Hearing this, Din Ngak is skeptical. Din Huk, the intruder easily escaped from me and all my guards. What student could possibly do something like that? Dinghua adds, son, you at least have to prove that those two are strong enough to get past the guards, otherwise it's hard for me to back you up. Seeing his nephew rambling on, Din Dang cuts him off. That's enough. We're in the middle of something important. Stop bothering us. Back in the present, a frantic Din Huk grabs Teacher Lai by the collar. Van Triet and Q-Tree went in too, didn't they? I want to enter this secret realm too! Meanwhile, inside the secret realm, a fierce battle is underway. Van Triet is taking out monsters one by one, continuously firing blasts of mana to attack. Furthermore, whenever they try to counterattack, Van Triet immediately activates his reflex state. He shouts a signal to Q-Tree, who instantly unleashes his skill. Surrounding shield! Q-Tree's shield helps Van Triet dodge the monster's attack. Instead, it consumed 40 MP and only lasts for 3 minutes. After that, he also used Encouraging Shout, giving him a motivated status that increases his strength. Van Triet slashes the monster with an upward stroke of his blade, then leaps into the air. Van Triet descends, delivering a finishing blow. With the monster dealt with, he levels up. Q-Tree also cheers happily. I leveled up too, another level. Seeing his happy expression, he smiles to himself, thinking about the skill book he got from the Din family earlier. Coincidentally, 2 of the books were Surrounding Shield and Encouraging Shout. With Q-Tree's current level, he can learn how to use these skills practically, Van Triet muses. Although the monster levels here are a bit high, with Q-Tree's help, things will be much easier. Venturing deeper into the secret realm, he remembers what the teacher said. In this secret realm, there's a very rare type of monster called the Miracle Stone Monster. When you kill it, there's a chance it will drop a support-type skill called Gravity Pull. Van Triet checks his system panel and sees that he doesn't have this skill yet. Van Triet thinks positively. It's a good thing I read the skill list from the Mirror World so I could decide which skills to learn. The deeper they go, the more he discovers. It's not just Miracle Stone monsters, but undead spirits, too. Van Triet's eyes scan the surroundings. I wonder where in this secret realm those powerful experts died. Their souls are probably just floating around near the place they croaked. Hopefully I can find some high-level ones. Suddenly, Van Triet's eyes widen in shock. He has a suspicion. Could that be this place, with these glowing spirit stone pillars? Could it be the Valley of Crystal Pillars? Both of them are stunned, unable to believe it. Van Triet exclaims internally, to think there are so many elite-level Miracle Stone monsters gathered here. He starts calculating. Moreover, they've moved at least 1,000 meters. They've long since passed the normal activity range of monsters. Are they the roaming type? A quick explanation. Roaming types are monsters found in rare secret realms that don't stay in a fixed location but wander everywhere. Their strength is far greater than that of normal monsters. Van Triet quickly moves. In the past, before humans became strong, he dives down from the side of the valley. Encountering a roaming type meant you were in for a world of hurt, because they would even wander outside of the secret realms, leading to countless tragic disasters. However, corresponding to that danger, after defeating them, you would receive experience and item drops that far surpassed those from normal monsters. Van Triet accelerates, charging towards this incredibly strong monster. He swings his knife and nimbly dodges past it. I can only give it a shot and see what happens. But as he got closer, Van Triet discovered they had a continuous healing skill. They continuously fired magic to attack him. He dodged nimbly, but was still hit below the shoulder by one of the monster's attacks. They're so fast and there are so many of them. Van Triet frowned, assessing the situation. No matter how fast I am, I can't dodge them all. He calculated that his health points and defense were too low. If it weren't for Kyo Tree's shield, he would have been seriously injured already. Then, Van Triet decided to counterattack by summoning his undead, but he realized it was no use. The undead couldn't hold out either. But there was a silver lining. He sighed in relief. Luckily, their movement speed was still quite slow. The only problem was that my health and defense can't be increased in such a short time. Van Triet knew that if he wanted to defeat these monsters, he could only rely on the defense boost Kyo Tree would get after leveling up. He went over to Kyo Tree. First, come with me. We'll grind some other normal monsters to level you up. Now, in a low-level monster area, Van Triet recalled what he'd seen from the high ground earlier. I saw quite a few monster locations. They'll be perfect for power leveling him. With this strategy, in team battles, the shield bearer is the indispensable first line of defense. Second, the other classes can hide behind the shield for better protection. According to this plan, from now on, Kyo Tree's attribute points would be focused on defense. Plus, with the helmet I conveniently took from the Din family's soldiers. At that moment, he lost 2 health points to a harpy. Now at least he has the core defensive ability of a shield bearer. Now, he can even block an attack from a level 20 monster. From behind, Van Triet shouted directions. Lower your stance, stand firm. He commanded the battle tactics. Then aim your shield at the target. When Kyo Tree reported the current status, the durability has dropped a bit. Van Triet kept shouting, watch out for attacks from behind! When Kyo Tree was cornered, Van Triet immediately rushed in, instructing, always be alert for the enemy's next move, and your movements don't need to be too wide, just enough to deal with the next attack. He added, even though you have to stay alert, your body needs to stay relaxed. Only tense up at the moment you defend. Van Triet patted Kyo Tree on the back with one hand and continued, reassuring him, I've got your back. As a shield bearer, you must always be aware of your teammates' movements behind you. A trusting smile appeared on Kyo Tree's face. Van Triet kept emphasizing, remember, when the power gap isn't too big, skill is what determines victory or defeat. After clearing out the monsters, the two of them stood together. I've leveled up. Van Triet also sighed in relief. Now he can confidently face enemies head-on. Because of that, more experience points were shared. After checking the system, Kyo Tree said happily, I've reached level 15. He then took out the shield armor skill book. He exclaimed, finally I can learn it. Kyo Tree quickly absorbed the book's essence. Van Triet nodded. The skill book he'd taken from the Din family was the last one Kyo Tree could learn. It adds an outer layer of armor to his summoned shield. With this shield armor, his defense points will increase even more, enough to deal with those elite-level vagrants. Back at the Star Pillar Valley, another group arrived. Wow, this place is full of elite-level vagrants. Where did they all crawl out from? It turned out to be the professors. Lei Lie, level 33, Zhuang Zheng, level 37, and Lei En, level 34. After observing for a moment, they all agreed, this is too dangerous for the students. We need to deal with them immediately. Lei En sighed. We can handle normal level 30 monsters, but dealing with these elite-level vagrants is another story. Suddenly, a streak of light flashed in the sky. He realized it was a student's distress signal. It was launched from over there, Zhuang Zheng pointed out. Let's go save those students first. But he was also worried. But these vagrants are also very dangerous if some unknowing students run into them. Lei Lai agreed with Bai's thoughts and suggested, that's right. To be safe, I should probably stay behind. The others agreed. All right, old Bai will stay if anything happens. Before he could finish, Van Triet cut in. How about you let us watch over things here? That distress signal probably means they've run into vagrants too. If only 2 of you teachers go to help, you'll be overwhelmed. Hearing this, Zhuang Zheng hesitated. You kids. Van Triet reassured him. These vagrants aren't fast, and besides, they haven't noticed us. We just need to watch from a distance, I promise. Nothing will happen, sir. You teachers can go without worrying. Unable to delay any longer, they agreed, but not without a reminder. All right, but those monsters are extremely dangerous. You kids are not to act on your own, you hear? They emphasized, you must hide well. If you're discovered, there's absolutely no way you'll escape. Van Triet smirked. More like they're the ones who won't be able to escape. Trang Chin's team immediately flew off. He turned to remind his teammates, you have to hide well. If you're discovered, there's absolutely no way you'll escape. The scene changes to Van Triet struggling amidst the rubble. They're the ones who won't be escaping, he thought. Suddenly, he noticed another one behind him was blocked by a blast of magic. Q-Tree used a defensive skill. An Aegis shield formed, pushing it back. Van Triet took the opportunity to circle behind the skeleton, which was then taken down by Q-Tree's single heart-piercing strike. The stone statues quickly came into view. Van Triet gently sent them to their graves one by one. The others couldn't escape a similar fate. The HP bar slowly dropped to just 328. On the contrary, he still thought, still a little lacking. As he finished the thought, another one was chopped into 100 pieces, and something fell from the monster's body. A glowing stone. Van Triet's eyes scanned the surroundings. He had successfully dealt with a wanderer. I've almost adapted to this class now. He was slightly disappointed. But it's still much worse than in my previous life. With that thought, he charged back into the group of skeletons to finish them off. Each slash was swung powerfully. Even though combining it with the reversal skill could greatly increase his attack power, it seemed Van Triet was still not satisfied with the result. But the basic attack of a support class is still too low. If only I could improve my attack power a little more. After a series of actions, system notifications popped up continuously. He responded calmly, "Leveled up again. This rare elite monster really gives a lot of experience." Suddenly, it reminded Van Triet to pick up the dropped item. He walked straight ahead and another notification sounded. But this time, it confirmed that Van Triet had successfully picked it up. His eyes widened in amazement. In Van Triet's hand was a long crystal dagger with +6 attack, 552. Van Triet was momentarily surprised. A weapon has an attack stat? He stared intently at the crimson blade, a spark of excitement in his eyes. Doesn't this perfectly compensate for my lack of basic attack power? Van Triet was brimming with fighting spirit. Now, battles will be much easier. Even so, Van Triet was still a little disappointed. It's just a shame that the gravity pull skill book I wanted, didn't drop. The drop rate doesn't seem very high, huh? He looked into the distance, pondering. If I were luckier, I might run into a few more of those wanderers. Suddenly, Van Triet's eyes landed on something. A look of slight surprise crossed his face. He immediately recognized it. Isn't that where the distress signal came from earlier? And what's more this time? The signal that lit up is a special distress signal, one that only the teacher squads are equipped with. Meanwhile, over with Trang Chin, he spoke with a troubled voice. Outside the cave is a whole horde of monsters, Trang Chin shouted helplessly. Why are so many wanderers gathered here? At the same time, on the cliff not far away, another team was quietly observing, waiting for an opportunity. Van Sa, a bit confused, asked, So many monsters have gathered in this place. What on earth happened? Ding Hao immediately replied, I'm not sure either. We just followed the signal to provide support. As he finished speaking, he pointed forward and deduced, The signal is coming from the cave. They must be trapped in there. Even so, facing the enemy, he still hesitated. He continued, We need to organize a rescue, but there are really too many monsters. Even if all of us teachers go in together, it won't be enough. Ding Hao turned to the two of them and said, It would be great if you two could help. Hearing his plea, Van Sa cheerfully accepted, This is my job, after all. The star on her hand suddenly lit up. A second later, Van Sa was seen casting the Star Insight secret art. Everyone's abilities skyrocketed. They praised her admiringly. The buff from this skill is so high it must be at least epic grade. One surprise after another. In a flash, Van Sa closed in on a monster and used Gravity Press. Van Am took the opportunity while it was hit by the skill, and with its guard down, finished it off with Hidden Thorn. The soldier's eyes were wide with amazement. So strong. Now we can rescue the people inside. That's Van Am and Van Sa for you. Only Van Triet stood quietly to the side, silently assessing everything. Not only their equipment, but even their skills are top tier. It seems that even without me, nothing would have happened over there anyway. He couldn't help but wonder about the situation inside. But something must have attracted so many wanderers to gather here. Then he gave an order to Q-Tree. I'm going in to check it out. You go with these people. In the mirror walk, a system notification suddenly appeared for Van Triet. Time remaining, 29 minutes and 59 seconds. Van Triet gradually understood. There were crystals all over the ground. They're all mirrors, and I can step into the mirror world at any time, but he fell into deep thought. It's just that I haven't had time to figure out the mechanism for returning to reality. Yesterday at the Din residence, after the mirror walk's duration ended, I couldn't get back in. Standing next to Van Triet were warrior spirits. In the distance, he noticed a strange figure. Humans have shadows, but monsters don't. Then he glanced over and noticed the corpses of monsters scattered everywhere. But the monster's real body, its existence. Except for me, every living creature in the mirror world. There were no entities. A moment later, Yun-Che entered the cave. There were actually people living here. He recognized the person beside him. Isn't this Xiaoxie? Suddenly, Yun-Che realized it was them. Yun-Che scanned the surroundings. It seemed like they were here to lure the wanderers into one place and then send out a distress signal, since the creatures operate within a small territory, so there wouldn't be any immediate danger. But I really wonder what's inside that could attract so many wanderers. Yun-Che searched all over the place. He didn't miss even the smallest crevice. In the end, he came to a conclusion. It was all crystal. This stuff really messes with your sense of direction. Suddenly, his pupils constricted in astonishment. To think something like this was here. Before Yun-Che were dazzling giant crystals. Is this a special kind of crystal ore? No wonder Xiaoxie's group came to this cave. This type of crystal is different from those in the outside world. A secret realm will generate special resources that can't be found outside. Moreover, people with life skill classes can use these resources to craft special items like accessories. He moved closer, touching the colorful crystals, and a thought suddenly struck him. These ore veins here are worth far more than 1,000 pieces of gold. The next second, the system prompted, asking Yun-Che if he wanted to collect the ore. Yun-Che pondered coldly, his eyes seeming to pierce through everything, bringing things from this place back to the real world. He quickly realized something was off. Could it be? His cold eyes filled with interest. So, as long as you have a foothold in the mirror world, you can return to the real world from there. Yun-Che wanted to test his theory, so he accepted the system's offer. Instantly, all the stones were collected. This skill still has a lot to be discovered. I'll need to find a chance to study it carefully. After he was done, he quickly left. But for now, I still need to scout this place first. As Yun-Che's figure receded into the distance, an idea came to him. The amount of ore in here, is abnormally huge. Mining all of this ore would be more than enough to turn an ordinary person into a billionaire. No wonder so many wanderers are gathered here. Back at the starting point, Yun-Sha was still struggling with the gravity-wielding monsters. The next second, Yun-Yin rushed forward and finished them off. Yun-Sha activated the Starfall art. A giant pillar of light flashed across the sky. The surrounding crowd stared, wide-eyed and jaws agape, praising them endlessly. Are all of their skills epic grade? How is every single one of them so powerful? They're even stronger than our instructors. A single sharp slash cut the monster in two, its entire body shattering into pieces upon defeat. Only then did they dare to breathe a sigh of relief. We're finally saved. I thought I was going to die here. But Yun-Yin had already approached, reminding them, don't relax just yet. We still have to fight our way out. Everyone's already exhausted. Seeing the atmosphere grow tense again, Yun-Sha chimed in to console them. But it'll be easier than before. Before she could finish her sentence, her eyes quickly noticed something. Everyone present turned pale, the color draining from their faces. An entire army had appeared out of nowhere and was slowly advancing. There were too many to count. They stammered, This is... A piercing scream rang out. Have all the wanderers in the entire secret realm come here? Cut to the mirror world. Precise sword strikes were unleashed as Yun-Che calmly explored his surroundings. He mused, it's really like a maze. Suddenly, his pupils dilated. Directly opposite him was a special, brilliantly shining mineral. This is... Yun-Che moved closer as a thought began to form. Could this be the hidden secret? If the various types of crystal ore are the special resources of this secret realm, then this core is its one and only hidden treasure. A hidden treasure is the condensed crystallization of a secret realm's special resources, nurtured over a long, indeterminate period. An ordinary person could go their entire life without ever seeing one. His hand slowly reached out and touched it. Each hidden treasure of this kind has its own unique effects. They're all different. A glint of joy appeared deep in his eyes. Suddenly, a system notification announced that he had obtained the Mirror Core, a unique item that increases stamina, restores magic, and reduces light and electric-type damage. The secret realm's core is just a replica. Holding it in his hand, Yun-Che was finally satisfied. It increases basic stats and reduces elemental damage. The stamina boost will greatly increase my health points, and the increased magic recovery speed will let me stack even more magic blades. The corner of his mouth curled into a slight smirk. Even more important was the 20% damage reduction from light and electric-type attacks. Percentage-based damage reduction is extremely rare. You rarely see it, even on top-tier equipment, and those take up an equipment slot to wear. Then Yunchi suddenly grew suspicious. But the strange thing is, he couldn't help but think of the waves of monsters everywhere. The crystal ore attracts wanderers. If a hidden treasure exists, then this secret realm must have a monster. Far stronger than the wanderers. That has to be it. Yunche had found what he was looking for. I'll just use this hidden treasure and then get out of here. As he said that, the system's cold voice announced that in order to use, collect, or take the mirror core outside, the player must spend 10 minutes of time, channeling in the mirror world. Outside, everyone's faces were filled with terror, and Yunsha and Yunyin were no exception. They saw that the giant boulder opposite them was beginning to show signs of collapsing. On top of it, a giant monster appeared, surrounded by the entire horde. A scream rang out. It's the Wanderer Overlord. It's a hidden boss. The Rogue Lord is a rare hidden boss, independent of the Dungeon Lord. Its power far surpasses that of a normal lord and is far beyond what any teacher or student can fight against. At that moment, the students started to panic and argue. Aren't Rogue Lords only supposed to appear in high-level dungeons? Despair showed on each of their faces as they screamed, "Why is a monster like this in this dungeon? At this rate, we're all going to die here!" Just then, Van Sa stepped forward and shouted, "Everyone, calm down! The most important thing right now is to work together and get out of here!" With that, she pointed towards the canyon ahead. "We can escape this valley through that canyon over there." With a stern look, she tried to convince everyone, "As long as we get out of this valley, we can escape easily. So don't hold anything back. Give it everything you've got and break through in that direction." With that said, she used a buff skill on everyone, Star Wanderer's secret art. After hearing her words, Trang Chin also summoned his weapon and said with determination, "That's right, at the very least we have to get the students out." With that, he led this charge to get everyone out, saying, "Starting with me, we'll take turns attacking." As they retreated, they encountered more monsters along the way. The first person to stand and block them was a black-haired professor. Then, as the monsters grew in number, they all banded together to fight. The sound of explosions echoed everywhere. The healers in the back were continuously healing the shield-bearers holding the front line. The battle then grew more and more fierce. It's unknown who shouted it, but a voice tried to raise everyone's morale. "Hold the line! We're not far now!" Just then, a giant monster let out a roar. It was its skill. War, Roar, Assembly. All monsters, no matter how far, seemed to hear its cry and began to gather. Everyone had just seen a glimmer of hope. Seeing this situation, they lamented again, "Damn it, where did all these monsters come from?" At that moment, the giant monster activated a new skill. Crystal Aura. As soon as it was cast, all the other monsters simultaneously received a boost to their health points, attack power, and defense power. Immediately after, one person was sent flying by a monster's punch. Someone else saw it and cried out in terror, "How did their attack power suddenly increase so much?" The situation for the others was also becoming grim. Among them was a shield-bearer, who at that moment was pierced by a beam of energy. He quickly shouted, "The damage is too high! The healing can't keep up!" Immediately after, a tragic scream rang out, "Help me!" Seeing this, a student's face filled with despair again as he screamed in terror, "A teacher is dead!" Knowing the situation was bad, Vansa quickly stepped up to command, "Shield-bearers to the front! Priests, prioritize healing the shield-bearers!" Although she appeared very strong on the outside, in her heart, she was also at a dead end. Everyone had already used up too much energy and were now just barely holding on. What's more, the Rogue Lord hadn't even truly made its move yet. Just then, a man in a black cloak, seemingly in complete despair, said quietly, "It's no use. At this rate, we'll never break through the encirclement." With that, the man immediately activated a stealth skill and tried to leave the area as fast as possible. As he left, he muttered to himself, "It's better to save myself." Just like that, he easily passed by the monsters without drawing any attention. Seeing a few people intending to follow him, Trang Chin quickly warned, "Wanderer-class users, don't follow him. Your stealth duration isn't long enough. You won't make it out." The words had barely left his mouth when a group of monsters, much larger than the normal ones, suddenly advanced and surrounded them. Trang Chin was startled, as if he had realized something. Seeing the giant monster preparing to fire an energy beam from its mouth, he quickly warned, "This one, be careful." The words had barely left his mouth when it fired the energy beam straight at the group. Seeing this, Trang Chin was the first to react. The Lord had directly blasted that guy into dust. The surrounding cliffs showed even more signs of collapsing after that tremor. A warrior quickly noticed and reported, "Not only that, it also caused the canyon to collapse." His face turned pale, his voice trembling with despair. That attack power. It's just too insane.
We can't escape with that monster's body alone.
It can easily block out the entire sky. He turned back nervously to warn everyone. We're done for. It's coming for us this time. We can't block it. As soon as he finished speaking, Van Am and Van Saw rushed forward together. Both of them unleashed their skills at the same time. Giant's Shield! Mountain Rock Shield! A gleaming shield appeared, and thanks to it, the entire group narrowly survived as death came knocking. All the strong men then rushed forward to support the shield. Anyone with high strength, get over here and help hold it! If this thing falls, we're finished! Even though Van Saw was scared, she still tried to reassure everyone. This shield is level 70 equipment, so its durability is pretty much guaranteed, she continued sarcastically, but it's also because its level is so high that no one is high enough level to equip it. It's also hard to move, so it can only delay them for a little while. Of course, she only dared to keep that last part to herself. A cowardly, confused soldier turned and asked, "Why would the school's secret realm have this kind of monster?" As soon as he finished speaking, the group turned on each other, arguing. "It's all your fault. Why else would we have come here?" Seeing this, Trang Chin could only feel helpless and annoyed. Were all his efforts to save them before for nothing? He noticed and turned to look for something else. At least those two kids should be safe, right? An image of Van Triet and Q Tree appeared in his mind. Then, Trang Chin noticed Q Tree in a corner not far away. Huh? He's one of the students from the back. He was a little surprised by his appearance. Didn't I tell those two to wait in the valley? What is he doing here? Seeing the monster that had just attacked the person next to Trang Chin, Q Tree hurriedly shouted, "Watch out!" When he didn't react, Q Tree immediately used his shield skill to surround him. Just as expected, after attacking the person next to Trang Chin, the monster turned and fired a beam of energy at him. Luckily, Q Tree's shield saved him. He saw his health drop to a critical level. Trang Chin's eyes grew dim. He told himself the surrounding defenses were already breached anyway. Watching the monster swing a punch towards him, he despaired. There's no one left who can stop these wanderers now. But just as he thought that, Q Tree suddenly rushed forward to save him at the last second. Watching him fend off the monster in his place, he was a bit surprised. So this kid has this kind of strength, huh? But then, looking at the situation around them, his gloom returned. But all the guards' shields are broken now. He could see Q Tree couldn't hold on any longer either. He saw that his chest plate had been shattered. He despaired. Our defense is completely... But the monster paid no mind to everyone's feelings. It was preparing to fire another energy beam towards the bloodied Q Tree. Trang Chin was completely hopeless. There's no turning back now. But right at that moment, Van Triet appeared. He easily defeated the monsters that everyone else had struggled to fight off. Seeing this, a glimmer of hope sparked in Trang Chin's eyes. Van Triet just stood there, towering over them. With a majestic air, he said softly, Q Tree, you did well. As soon as he saw him, Q Tree's eyes lit up with joy as he softly called out, Van Triet! Van Triet majestically comforted Q Tree. Leave the rest to me. Not long before that, in the real world, Van Triet was standing in front of a crystal ore. He picked it up, and a plan began to form in his mind. Besides the hidden crystal core from the replica mirror world, there's still the original version in the real world. It seems that if I rely on this mirror world, my future income could double. But when he looked at his inventory, he felt a bit frustrated. The only thing is, the crystals and ores aren't easy to take out. He saw a system notification. Insufficient remaining time to retrieve all items. Seeing this, Van Triet fell into thought. It's just like with that hidden treasury. To bring out 1 unit of crystal, I need to spend 10 minutes of exploration time in the mirror world. Knowing this, he reluctantly pressed the use button on the remaining ore. He thought to himself, for now, I'll just have to bring out the most valuable replica crystal core. Immediately after using it, his attribute points were instantly boosted. But as he was savoring his newly increased power, the ground suddenly shook. Realizing something, his expression changed. This kind of tremor, did something happen? As he thought that, he immediately took off, leaving the area at his fastest speed. But as he ran, he couldn't help but think carefully. Then he placed his hand on the ice next to him, thinking, I have to see if I can still cross into the mirror world. Immediately after, he appeared in the mirror world. The system also displayed a notification. Time remaining, 12 minutes and 54 seconds. He realized he could still move freely between the two worlds. Van Triet was secretly pleased. So, as long as my remaining exploration time in the mirror world hasn't run out, I can enter and exit as I please. Only after it's all used up does the cooldown period begin. With that thought, his speed didn't decrease as he quickly dashed out of the cave. He easily weaved through the narrow cliff walls. After a short time, Van Triet emerged outside, simultaneously leaving the mirror world. Right before his eyes, was a horde of monsters lined up in neat rows. Seeing this, he couldn't help but fall into thought again. The number of monsters has increased again, huh? Even if they were attracted by the crystal ore, there shouldn't be this many. But just then, a monster with a colossal body appeared, as if to confirm his thoughts. The Wanderer Lord? It seems to be the source of that dangerous feeling. After assessing the situation, Van Triet immediately rushed off to find the others, silently worrying that Q-Tree and the group were in danger. But just then, a monster blocked his path. He thought, if I can freely enter and exit the mirror world... Immediately, he entered the mirror world and then returned to the real world. He found that he had passed right through the monster's body. Seeing this, he understood. This way I can easily dodge monster attacks. Immediately after, he fell into another line of thought. I'm level 24 now. He continued on, defeating the monsters blocking his way, but this didn't interrupt his thoughts. With a total of 140 magic points and a mana recovery rate of 2.6 per second, plus the Arcanum's 0.5 times 2 bonus, my attack power can increase by up to 330%, I guess. He activated his Mana Blade skill, thinking to himself, even though this is rushed, a Wandering Lord is stronger than a Secret Realm Lord. I need to at least reach level 30 in the mirror world. After moving for a bit, Van Triet saw the others, but his train of thought continued. I'm still not strong enough in the mirror world right now. Everyone seemed frozen like statues, unable to move. Then, he returned to the real world, unleashing a flurry of slashes that diced hordes of monsters into pieces. He was now in a combat stance, his eyes radiating a terrifying killing intent, but he still spoke gently. Q-Tree, you did a great job. Upon seeing him, Q-Tree, though covered in injuries, still managed to smile and called out, Van Triet! He replied, leave everything back here to me. With that, he stomped his foot and reappeared in the mirror world. Then he suddenly returned to reality, launched a slash at a monster, and vanished once more. Before vanishing, he said, if you have any support skills, please buff me. This time, he looked at everyone and said, let me handle this mob of wanderers. Hearing this, Vansa immediately used her magic skill, and Q-Tree, without hesitation, cast a shield armor around him. Instantly, Van Triet felt his spirit power rise, and his attack power, accompanied by a layer of armor surrounding his body. He glanced around, thinking, there's a ridiculous number of them, but after using the Arcanum core, my health has multiplied, and the photovoltaic system has reduced damage by 40%. Now he was completely immune to many of their attacks. There's no danger anymore. It's just a shame these monsters are immune to chaos, or they'd be wiped out much faster. Not far from him, the group of students were staring at him, their mouths agape in shock. They couldn't believe their eyes. Among them, one student couldn't help but ask, am I seeing things? I see his status bar says he's a caster, but why is his attack power so ridiculously high? Hearing that, another student blurted out their own question. And what kind of skills is he even using? He can just phase through things. Meanwhile, Trangchin gave a wry smile, wondering, he's really that strong? And to think I was worried about him. Back on the battlefield, Van Triet continued to slaughter the monsters. After a while, the system announced that he had leveled up. He paused for a moment, thinking happily, with this many monsters gathered together, leveling up is going to be a breeze. At the same time, Vansa stood silently, watching his assault. Her eyes were wide with disbelief as she watched him. I thought this guy was just a bold thief. I never imagined his real strength was this far beyond anything I could have pictured. It was the same for Van Am. She also just stood there silently, watching him phase continuously between the two worlds to eliminate the monsters as the system's level-up chime rang out again and again. A student pointed at him, jaw dropped, and asked, is that guy reinforcements from outside? He's so strong! Trangchin replied, I've met him before. I think he's a student. Hearing that, another professor's jaw dropped. What? A student? You've got to be kidding me! Just then, the Wandering Lord suddenly let out a roar. Everyone's face paled. Trangchin yelled out, look out! It's going to attack again! The Wandering Lord began its attack, firing a beam of energy at Van Triet, but by shifting between the mirror and real worlds, he easily dodged it. Still, seeing its destructive power, he couldn't help but worry. Even now, I wouldn't be able to withstand an attack like that. Seeing it lift its leg for an area of effect attack made him even more anxious. It's starting to move now, too. He glanced over at the others and the two shields. He mused, once it gets closer, those two shields won't be enough to protect them. Just then, Trang Chin, who seemed to have realized the situation, shouted, "The number of monsters has gone down a lot. Let's focus on one side and break through the encirclement," he said with a tense expression. "If we wait for that wandering lord to get any closer, it'll be too late. No matter how strong someone is, there's no way they can take on that wandering lord alone." Suddenly, someone else pointed to the two shields and said, "But these two shields are really hard to move. If we try to break out, we'll be wide open to the wandering lord's attacks." Hearing this, panicked expressions appeared on everyone's faces as they murmured, "He's right. The second we move, it'll be able to pick us off easily. These shields are huge and heavy. The only way to move them is to store them in our inventories." Just then, a voice called out, "Leave it to me!" It was Van Triet, who, radiating with fighting spirit, said, "I'll attack it and draw its aggro. While I do, all of you take the opportunity to escape." Trang Chin's brow furrowed with worry. "We escape? But what about you?" Instead of answering, he became lost in thought. "If I don't deal with this wandering lord, it'll just gather all the other monsters in this secret realm and let them wander out into the world." Recalling the scenes from his past life, he thought to himself, most of the major disasters in the past were caused by the wandering lord. Thinking this, he said without hesitation, "I'll stay behind and kill it." Just then, the system announced that his arcane blade had only 7 seconds left. Mirror Walk also had only 5 minutes and 41 seconds remaining. By now, Trang Chin was leading everyone in breaking through the encirclement. As he ran, he didn't forget to shout a reminder. Hurry up, break through! No matter how strong that guy is, facing so many monsters and the wandering lord, he's bound to run out of steam eventually." He looked towards Van Triet, who was holding the line behind everyone, and said, "We have to escape quickly so he can get away." Hearing this, another student asked, "Didn't he say he was going to kill that lord?" Trang Chin replied, "That was just to put our minds at ease."
That thing is a wandering lord, you know.
Among those leaving was Q Tree. As he ran, he looked back at Van Triet, blaming himself for still being so useless. At times like this, all I can do is run away. Van Triet, you have to be okay. At that moment, Van Triet was still relentlessly attacking the horde of monsters. His level had just increased. The wandering lord had now fixed its attention on him, firing a beam of energy. But he easily escaped into the mirror world, then appeared behind it. He unleashed a slash, only to see the small amount of HP it lost regenerate instantly. Seeing this, his expression grew tense. "No good. Its defense is too high. I'm only doing this much damage, but its healing skill can recover it in an instant." Then he made up his mind. "As I thought, I still have to go for that spot." He looked up at the sparkling stone on its head, thinking, the crystal core on its head is its nucleus, and its weak point. But just then it brought a fist down on him. But he quickly dodged to the side, thinking to himself, my attack power just isn't enough yet. Van Triet's health and mana bars were down by half, and the buffs from before were almost out of time. Realizing this, his expression became more and more strained. The buffs those guys gave me are starting to wear off, and my magic points are too low to maintain Arcane Blade for much longer. Thinking this, he went back to killing the smaller monsters first, telling himself, I need to level up first. Suddenly, not far away, a purple light flashed. Seemingly realizing something, he wondered, what is this? He saw the Wandering Lord's hand appear above his head. The light that had just flashed came from its palm. Seeing this, Van Triet quickly entered the mirror world, horrified. You planned ahead, predicting where I'd appear? But as soon as he returned to the real world, unlike before, he was still enveloped by that energy beam. His health points dropped rapidly. He immediately realized, this is a continuous wide-area attack. Then, Van Triet began to think of a countermeasure. There's not much time left for Mirror Walk. If I rely on it to dodge, I'll use up all the remaining time in an instant. He now had only 3 minutes and 46 seconds left. As he thought this, dark shadows began to appear from his feet. I'll just have to use the undead to block it. Looking at the undead spirits before him, he thought, but restoring summoned creatures consumes magic points. If I keep taking damage after this, I won't have enough. Should I retreat for now and regroup? Just as he was at a dead end, a giant shield suddenly landed in front of him. Van Triet stared in stunned silence at Kyo Tree, Van Saw, and Van Am, completely bewildered. Why are you all... Van Saw looked at him, smiled, and replied, your little buddy here begged us so pitifully we just had to come and back you up. Hearing that, Q Tree muttered, I didn't beg pitifully. There aren't as many monsters as before, but... He was just muttering. He said, they've all escaped on the other side. I was just... Before he could explain, Van Triet looked at him, smiled softly, and said, "Thanks." Then, everyone returned to a combat stance. Vansa said, "This hidden boss is still too dangerous. We'll cover you so you can slowly get out of here." But the words had barely left her mouth when Van Triet killed a small monster, saying, "No need." Without stopping, he continued to eliminate the surrounding monsters. As he fought, he said, "With everyone's support, I don't have to hold back anymore." A notification popped up. His level had increased. He was now level 30. Mirror Walk's time was up. Even so, he wasn't worried at all, thinking to himself, "I'm level 30 now. My attack power should be just enough." Thinking this, he equipped the Corrupted Knight's armor. Following his gaze, Vansa asked, "Don't tell me you're planning to attack its weak point. From above? At this height, it's basically impossible to get up there." But he just smiled, took out a skill book, and thought to himself about what he had always wanted. And now I finally have it. This is the Gravitational Pull skill book. This skill can help him pull a target towards himself, but it can also be reversed to pull himself towards the target. Right after, he activated the Blade Dance skill, telling himself, "This is the skill that pulls me to the target." With that thought, he said, "Don't worry. Everything is within my grasp now." With that, Van Triet aimed at the Wandering Lord and activated the Gravitational Pull skill. His body immediately shot straight up to the top of the Wandering Lord's head. He now appeared right in front of the crystal on its head. Seeing this, Van Sa and Van Am were both terrified and worried. He relentlessly unleashed a flurry of slashes at the crystal. Soon after, the crystal began to crack. The Wandering Lord seemed to sense it too. It unleashed all of its power in a final burst. Standing so close, Van Triet's HP dropped continuously, but his eyes grew determined. He threw one last slash forward and the crystal completely shattered. At that moment, his health and mana hit rock bottom. The system announced, "You have defeated the Wandering Lord, received 5,000 experience points, received the title Wanderer Slayer. Dropped, Legendary Skill Book Golden Light Membrane. Dropped, Skill Book, Angelic Protection." Van Triet's level also rose continuously, now reaching level 30, and his other stats were boosted as well. Watching him successfully defeat the Wandering Lord, Q3 couldn't help but exclaim, "Van Triet really is strong." Van Sa, seeing this, also found it hard to believe, saying, "He alone was able to kill a terrifying monster like this?" Meanwhile, Van Triet was also stunned. It actually dropped legendary items, and 2 of them no less. But before he could savor the joy for too long, the ground here suddenly shook. Van Sa quickly realized and shouted a warning, "The monster is about to fall! Van Triet is still on top of it, be careful!" As soon as he heard her warning, Van Triet used his fastest speed to run down. Just as he got away, the pile of rocks there suddenly collapsed, revealing a crevice. Van Triet looked back, startled. "What is that?" The crevice gradually widened, revealing a cave. Peering inside, he saw nothing. Van Triet wondered, "A hollow mountain?" Then he saw something else. His suspicion deepened. Wanderers and human skeletons. Looking at the rock in front of him, he gradually saw a shape resembling the Wandering Lord from before. He froze for a moment. It seems this place has already given birth to an even stronger Wandering Lord. And then, it dawned on him. That must be why there are so many signs of a fierce battlefield here. He then looked around, and his attention fell on a human-shaped rock. He wondered what it was. After getting closer to observe, he realized it was Kyo An, Kyo Bonbon, who had died. He shouted in shock, "Bon Bon!" The stone statue just stood there, imposing. Who knows how many years it's been? At that moment, Van Sa also approached. As soon as she saw the statue, she asked in astonishment, "Is this the traitor Kyo An? I heard this was the place where the hero Din Kon slayed him, but—" Looking at the majestic statue before her, she continued, "I never expected something like this." She looked at the surroundings, guessing, this is clearly the scene of a battle against countless monsters and people. She thought of the image of Kyo Bonbon in the museum. She said, "It's completely different from the statue in the Modern History Museum. This person doesn't look like someone who would be easily trampled at all." To the side, Van Triet's expression was a bit grim. Suddenly, Q3 stepped forward and said, "You all probably won't believe this, but I don't think my great-grandfather was some heinous criminal at all." He recalled how he'd read books day and night, trying to find the truth. "Ever since I was little, I've read about my great-grandfather's history. Whenever it got to his specific experiences, it was always described vaguely, but I still managed to find some details." As he spoke, his expression grew more serious. He always went to dungeons that were unsuitable for his own level. His face then showed his doubt. Tell me, why would he, an S-rank, a class holder over level 60, come to a low-level dungeon like this? He looked up to the sky and answered his own question. Because this is a dungeon that can nurture a wandering lord. Thinking of the wandering lord from before, Q3 continued. And the wandering lord is the source of a great catastrophe, capable of summoning all the monsters in a dungeon to the outside world. Then he thought of the monsters. And that had poured out of the gate. For that reason, the government simply doesn't have enough troops to defend against all the wandering monsters coming out of the dungeons. And that's precisely why they need to rely on certain responsible class holders, who are also powerful, to periodically clear out the monsters in the dungeons. At this point, he gestured towards Kyo Bonbon and said solemnly, and my great-grandfather was one of them. He came here to extinguish the disaster before it could begin. After hearing his theory, everyone just stood there, stunned. Knowing they didn't believe him, Kyo-tree's face grew somber as he spoke. You probably think I'm just making things up, right? But the more he spoke, the more his body couldn't help but tremble. Even so, he forced himself to continue. My family also says I'm just looking for some kind of psychological comfort, and that I'm just interpreting the words that way to make myself feel better. But at that moment, Yunchi suddenly walked up and patted his shoulder, looking at him with a sincere gaze. Yunche said softly, I believe in you. Hearing him say that, Yun-sa and Yun-yin were both stunned. Even Chaoju's eyes lit up, as if he had seen a glimmer of hope. Yunche just smiled faintly, but his eyes held a hint of melancholy. He thought to himself, he's definitely not that kind of person. He remembered a long time ago, a confident kid who stomped his foot on the table and arrogantly said, I don't need any so-called master. Then that brat pointed right at his face, smirking smugly, and said, I'm a genius. It won't be long before I'm stronger than you. An old man like you should just retire early. But when he was surrounded by monsters, that kid was terrified, his eyes wide with fear, screaming, Master, save me! Then, after they got home, that kid's stubbornness returned. He muttered under his breath, Who needed you to save me? Don't save me next time. I just didn't expect there to be so many monsters in this secret realm. He also remembered a time when the kid had grown up. He returned, covered in injuries, his voice a bit more mature. Got caught again, huh? That kid smiled confidently and said, That's right. I'm the type to secretly work hard behind the scenes and then show off in front of everyone. Don't worry. The secret realm we're going to isn't life-threatening. He also remembered a time before a battle when he asked Yunche why he should choose the Sword Guard class for his advancement. The Sword Guard class was considered the weakest among the Shield-Bearer's advancement paths. He didn't know what Yunche had said, but he saw the kid frown in dissatisfaction and say, But isn't that because you focus almost entirely on strength and speed? You always charge forward no matter what. Basically, no shield-type class can keep up with you. He also remembered being on the battlefield, standing on a monster's corpse. The kid from before, now covered in wounds, said with emotion, Old friend, I really found you. His face was smeared with blood, but his voice carried a fierce conviction. I get it. Leaving the team without permission means a 3-month salary deduction. I ran into too many wanderers, so I couldn't level up to save people? Whatever, just forget it. Returning to the present, after recalling these images from his past life, Yunche's eyes turned cold as he thought to himself, Ben, for your sake, I will settle the score with this Ding family. At the same time, in a large mansion, Ding Guo asked with a look of disbelief, Is what you said true? Ding Hao replied, It's true. If you don't believe me, Dad, just go ask the teacher in charge of this secret realm. That Yunche guy is that powerful. He recalled being flatly rejected. I really can't let you in. Your level is still too low. Remembering that, he continued his story. I was stopped at the entrance by the teacher guarding the secret realm and wasn't allowed to enter. But when the people inside came out, those people were talking amongst themselves. Did you guys see what just happened? I saw it from a distance. That wandering lord just collapsed. Another person replied, With a commotion that big, who wouldn't have seen it? I'm afraid someone killed it. So impressive. That was a rare hidden boss over level 40 to be able to control it. And is already beyond my imagination. Suddenly he heard a name in their conversation that made his expression turn to shock. That person's name is Yunche, right? I thought Yun-sa and the others were already impressive enough. I never expected there to be someone so powerful among the students. What's his background, anyway? After he finished his story, the room fell silent. After a moment of thought, Ding Guo gave an order. Summon the Ding family guards, follow me to the secret realm to capture the traitor. Suddenly he stopped and said, Wait a minute, did you say before that the little brat from the Chow family went with them too? Then his expression turned sinister as he changed the order. In that case, drag the people from the Chow family along with us. Seeing the situation, Dingguo then instructed, summon the Ding family guard and follow me to the traitor's secret realm. Suddenly, he remembered an important detail. Wait a minute, you said before that the little brat from the Chow family went with them too? Dingguo suddenly broke into a wicked smile. Drag the Chow family along with us. A skill book appeared in Yunche's hand with its information. Skill book, Golden Light Barrier. Level requirement, none. Type, Specialized Skill Book. Quality, Legendary. He looked at Chao Zhu and explained, you should learn this skill book. It doesn't have a level requirement. Yunsa couldn't believe it and blurted out, that's a legendary grade skill. And you're just giving it away like that? Yunchi then explained, this is a specialized skill for shield bearers, I can't learn it. And this is the same skill your great-grandfather used to use. Now she reached up to adjust her hat and said, but then again, it's not like you're short on powerful skills. Yunsa stood in front of him, chattering on. Logically, my skills are all high grade too, but they're nothing compared to yours, whether it's that skill where you suddenly disappear. What she said next stunned Yunche. Or that skill that can summon so many of those undead? As he was seriously pondering everything about the undead, an image suddenly appeared in Von Treat's mind. I remember now. The undead I summoned were all formed from souls. Besides me, other souls will also enter the mirror world. He suddenly raised his hand towards the system screen. Immediately, it displayed the mirror world's information. The skill has been refreshed. Walking in the mirror. Time remaining, 29 minutes and 59 seconds. Von Triet was completely surprised by this notification. I can use it. He stood there, watching the souls before him. Kyo-an, clad in armor, slowly walked towards Bon Bon. Meanwhile, in the real world, Von urged, we should get going. Any later and you'll have the reception ceremony. Only then did Von Sa realize and blurt out, we really can't delay any longer. She spoke with some reluctance. It's obviously more fun here, though. What on earth is Von Triet doing? Why did he suddenly disappear for so long without showing up? But Von Triet was still immersed in the mirror world. He stared at Kyo-an from a close distance. Bon Bon, I can't believe we can meet again. Upon hearing Von Triet, he replied, I also have a lot I want to say to you.
It's just a shame.
At that moment, dark energy enveloped Kyo-an's body. He tried to suppress the pain and speak, but you couldn't answer. He felt the pressure radiating forward and thought, so he really has turned into an undead spirit. But I don't want to fight him. Streams of dark energy also tried to envelop Von Triet. Kyo-an's eyes suddenly changed. The process of his growth appeared clearly before him. This is what Bon Bon went through. Very quickly, Kyo-an discovered Din Kon. Von Triet frowned upon seeing this scene. Why does his posture feel so familiar? His past shattered like a broken mirror. He stared at Kyo-an and wondered, what on earth happened? Von Triet couldn't help but blurt out, Bon Bon! He then saw him raise his weapon and charge, wanting to attack. Von Triet immediately countered while exclaiming, Bon Bon, you! Then he dodged each of Kyo-an's attacks. As he dodged, Von Triet observed, he's only fighting on instinct. At that moment, he calculated in his mind, I guess I have to retreat for now. But the system announced that he could not leave the mirror world from the current area. Von Triet couldn't believe it when he saw the message. I can't leave this place? He had no other choice, sighing as he thought, looks like I have no choice but to fight. At the same time, Kyo Tree stared in astonishment at the scene before him. He saw Din Kwa leading a group of people over. Why are you the only one here? Where's that Von Triet guy? Did he find out we were coming and run away, huh? Then he laughed loudly in mockery. Well, that's half the fun gone. He was extremely surprised and blurted out, Din Hook! Kyo Tree was very worried and said, why are you guys here? Are you here to level up too? Din Kwa loosened his tie and reminded him, cut the crap, you little brat from the Kyu family. Weren't you the one who snuck into my house with Von Triet to steal things? He hurriedly denied the information. I didn't! You're mistaken. Before Kyo Tree could finish, Din Hook cut him off. You think I couldn't hear your screams? Hearing this, Kyo Tree's body froze for a moment. Then, Din Kwa waved his hand and said with a laugh, actually, none of that matters. I brought you a little gift. He panicked for a moment when he saw the scene before him, because Kyo Tree's familiar relatives had just appeared. Second grandpa, both grandmothers, second uncle, youngest aunt, and finally, the most important person to him. Mom! Just then, second grandpa shouted, Kneel! He was furious, yelling, You animal! Apologize to the hero's clan! And apologize to young Master Din Hook, too! He tried to explain, Grandpa, I don't want to. Second grandpa cut him off in frustration. What did I teach you when you were little? How are you supposed to act in front of the Din family? Kneel! Q-Tree couldn't take it anymore and retorted, Are we, the Q family, destined to be the Din family's dogs for all eternity? Everyone was stunned for a moment upon hearing him say that. Q-Lay suddenly knelt on the ground and admitted, Yes, we are. We are the descendants of wicked traitors. Being their dogs is already a blessing. The youngest aunt trembled and glanced at Dinquois. Q-Tree, are you trying to get our whole family killed? Think about your parents. She tried to persuade him. Think about how hard your mother has worked to support this family while your father is like that. Q-Tree fell silent at those words. Then he pointed behind him and told everyone, Please, look at what's behind you. Great-grandfather came to this secret realm to resolve the disaster. It's obvious that too many people attacked him at once back then. That's why he sacrificed himself. Q-Tree recounted his plan. Before, I was always gathering information about great-grandfather, but I was still missing conclusive proof. Then he affirmed decisively, But now, the proof is right in front of our eyes. Great-grandfather was not some kind of evil traitor to the country. Q-Tree's indignant voice spread throughout the space. The truth is completely different from what they've been spreading. As long as these truths are made public, our great-grandfather's name will be cleared. We won't have to live like this anymore. He was furious, growling, The Din family has no right to treat us like this. Then, in front of everyone, Q-Tree declared, My grandfather's family, my great-uncle's family, they didn't deserve to die like that. Hearing him, Dinquois scoffed. Childish, but you're not wrong. He bluntly admitted the truth. That's right. Everything you said is true. Then, Dinquois recounted what happened. Your great-grandfather, Q-An, died because he was ambushed. He really wasn't some kind of villain. To be more precise, he said, leaning closer to Q-Tree with a smirk, at that time, my great-grandfather got rich because he ambushed Q-An. But who cares about that? Dinquois gloated. Q-An was a traitor to the Empire. He was the ugly villain. Then he fearlessly taunted. So what if I killed your crazy father? So what if I killed them? You descendants of traitors are all just that pathetic. It didn't stop there. Pointing at Q-Tree's relatives, he even exposed the hidden truth. In fact, this family of yours, they all knew. Dinquois continued to ramble on. Otherwise, how do you think those people you reported dead actually died? Confident in his own power, he ordered, Kneel! Immediately, Q-Tree's relatives all knelt. It was then that Q-Tree's mother spoke up. Ah, Tree, please, I'm begging you, son. Just admit you're wrong. Don't fight back anymore, it's useless. She was sobbing uncontrollably now. I really don't want to lose my son. Not after your father went mad. Q-Tree's mother tried to persuade him. I really can't take it anymore. Just then, Q-Tree remembered her words of encouragement. Ah, Tree, don't pay any attention to them. You're the best. You're the best. Suddenly, Din Huck flashed a twisted smile and swung his leg at Q-Tree, yelling, Still dawdling? Haven't you learned your lesson yet, you punk? Demon or not? He raised his hand, blocking Din Huck's attack. Very quickly, Q-Tree decisively countered. Thrown to the ground, Din Huck let out a pathetic scream. Then he looked at Dinquois and declared, I will never kneel again. Din Huck, thrown to the ground, sat up, panting heavily. He summoned his weapon and remarked, An improvement. You dare to lay a hand on me? Din Huck, as if possessed, charged forward. Let me remind you what it's like to be a punching bag. Before he could even make a move, Q-Tree struck back. Din Huck couldn't believe it, thinking, How can this be? At the same time, Q-Tree landed another punch on his face. We are the descendants of a hero! As Q-Tree went berserk, he swung a punch straight into Din Huck's face, roaring, We are the descendants of a hero! Dinquois frowned in surprise, exclaiming, Oh? He clutched his face in pain, staggering back a few steps. With half his face swollen from the punch, Din Huck was furious and in disbelief. How is this possible? How could even you suddenly get stronger? Suddenly, he gritted his teeth and charged at Din Huck, insulting him as he attacked. You're just a punching bag. You've been nothing but a punching bag your whole life. He grew more and more aggressive and frantic. On what grounds? But in contrast, Q-Tree calmly and easily knocked him out with a single punch. The onlooker's jaws dropped in shock. Q-Tree replied with a serious face. I'm not the same person I was before. Meanwhile, inside the mirror world, Van Triet was also engaged in a fierce battle. He silently assessed, This is Bon Bon's form at its peak. I'm still far from that level right now. He looked at his opponent, whose face showed no expression. Van Triet dodged, looking for a way to counter. If he weren't a defense-type class, and if he weren't unconscious, I would have been overwhelmed in an instant. Van Triet seized the opportunity and swiftly launched a counterattack. But I was the one who taught him his fighting techniques. He easily struck his opponent's weak point, feeling a sense of satisfaction. So I know all his openings. Looking at Kyo-an's health bar, which hadn't dropped much, Van Triet sighed. But still, this is the defensive power of someone over level 60 who has completed their class change. I doubt I could do much damage even with a stacked arcane blade. Suddenly, the undead Kyo-an roared, instantly releasing a massive surge of power. He quickly jumped back to defend against the legendary grade skill, Golden Light Shield. Van Triet frowned and complained, "What a pain." Immediately after, a loud explosion occurred. Returning to the battle outside, Dinhook was frantically attacking, all the while cursing, "You mutt!" But all his attacks were easily countered by Q-Tree. Without a word, he slammed his shield straight into Dinhook's face. One blow after another rained down, leaving him with no strength to fight back. Dinquah watched on, disappointed. His hand silently gathered power. Hook, you can't even beat this little Kyo brat now." He launched a surprise attack, saying with a smile, "How about your uncle helps you vent some of that anger?" Dinquah swung his fist smugly, but before it could even touch him, it stopped dead. Dinquah was stunned. "This is—" He was sent flying backward. He exclaimed loudly, "Golden Light Shield!" Q-Tree warned him, "You should just stand back and watch. So-called heroic family. You're all just a bunch of cowards who don't even dare to fight one-on-one." At the same time, Van Triet was struggling to break the Golden Light Shield. He thought to himself, as a legendary grade skill, the Golden Light Shield's defensive power isn't related to the user's defense stat. He thought, as long as it doesn't take a single hit that exceeds twice its upper limit, it can withstand at least 10 attacks. Van Triet attacked with all his might. But it's also a skill that consumes energy. It seems like each slash is gradually breaking it down, he thought. Even the smallest amount of damage will drain its energy. Finally, Van Triet came to a conclusion. After its energy is depleted, any attack that accumulates 10 times will break it. At the same time, Dinquah also broke through it and taunted, "You little mutt! And so what if you have the Golden Light Shield?" He was full of contempt. I couldn't care less about the trash that Kyo-an used. Q-Tree held the bruised and swollen Dinhook in front of him as a shield. Then he shouted, "If my great-grandfather were here, all you can do is get on your knees and beg for mercy." The provocative words truly angered Dinquah. He unleashed a wave of killing intent, forcing the boy to step back and defend with his shield. Dinquah's voice was full of arrogance. Rely on some useless trash who died in a low-level dungeon? He furiously stomped the ground. Even if he showed up, Dinquah roared in anger. "Gravity crush!" causing the ground to tremble. "You will kneel!" The immense power made Chao-Ji spit out a mouthful of blood in pain. He struggled, unable to stand steady. With overwhelming killing intent in his eyes, the man stepped forward with his weapon. "Oh, still acting tough, huh? But I wonder how you'll be standing after I chop off both your legs." With that, he immediately lunged forward. Chao-Ji's mother rushed over, begging, "Third Master, Chao-Ji is still young and doesn't know any better. Please spare him," she cried in terror. "I'm kneeling before you now. I'll do whatever you want." Dinquah grew excited. "Oh, in that case, how about this, little devil?" Chao-Ji gritted his teeth in anger, glaring at him as the shameless Dinquah made an outrageous demand. "If you don't kneel, I'll chop your mother to death." But he immediately changed his mind. "Nah, forget it." Dinquah raised the weapon in his hand towards Chao-Ji's mother. After all, there's no shortage of people to cut down. The boy panicked, rushing to stop him. "Wait, Chao-Ji was cut off. A puff of white smoke appeared right in front of her, shielding her and blocking Dinquah's fatal blow. The boy's eyes widened in shock. The mystical smoke slowly dissipated, revealing a shadowy figure. Everyone fell silent, sucking in a cold breath. Dinquah was also stunned, stammering, You are—" The smoke quickly vanished completely, and the figure came into clear view. Dinquah shouted, "Kyo-an!" Chao-Ji's mother, bewildered, stammered, Great ancestor?" The people standing around gasped in amazement, unable to believe their eyes. "Chao-an is alive again? No way. Impossible." Another person denied it. "How can a dead person—" In the crowd, a sharp-eyed woman realized something and exclaimed, "That form! It looks more like an undead spirit." A voice full of disgust rang out. You all looked down on him so much before. It was Yun Che, who had appeared beside Chao-an, mocking them. So he had no choice but to crawl back from hell to settle the score with you lot. The battle lines were clearly drawn. Dinquah broke the silence, shouting a challenge. "Stop with the cheap tricks! Get them!" On his command, All of his subordinates charged forward at once. System notification: you have used iron armor. Aura shield. Guardian shield stance. Cao An nimbly blocked all the enemy's attacks. Not only that, he counterattacked, decisively taking them down one by one. The people around couldn't stop marveling. So strong, is that really Cao An? As Cao Zhu watched intently, his face was filled with surprise. This interception technique, to be able to block so many guards at the same time, it's incredible. However, Ding Qua's arrogant voice still rang out. This is the spirit you summoned, isn't it? This kind of riffraff? My family used to summon tons of them, he sneered contemptuously. Its level is only 33. After speaking, Ding Qua lunged forward, shouting, Cao An's spirit is nothing but a small fry. His weapon was hit by the spirit's clinging slime attack. Ding Qua was surprised, hardly believing his eyes. Huh? He strained, directly clashing in a test of strength with Cao An's spirit. Qua shouted in frustration, Fighting tricks! He waved his hand dismissively. In the face of absolute power, they're all useless. The boy calmly uttered, Summon collision. He thought he was sure to win this time. Ding Qua flashed a wicked smile, but he was immediately countered, making him complain bitterly, It's that golden light shield again. Yun Che spoke with contempt. Heh, even as an undead spirit? He's still an S-rank spirit. Even if it's just the golden light shield, it's enough to keep you busy for a while. Pushed far back, Ding Qua asserted in a low voice, Everyone charge together! We can drain all of its energy at once. The only reply was the sound of the wind. The space behind him was empty. There was no one there. Ding Qua looked on resentfully. They were all busy fighting monsters, and some had already been defeated. He realized he couldn't count on them. Ding Qua put on his armor, muttering, This is getting a little annoying. He flared up, roaring, Raging flames! Fine, Cao An! Undead spirit, whatever. You're all just a bunch of summons. Ding Qua tore through the air towards Yun Che, shouting, As long as I kill you, the summoner, the summoned creature will naturally disappear. The boy didn't waste words on him. Charged punch. He locked onto his target with eyes full of killing intent, thinking smugly to himself, I have a full set of high-grade equipment given to me by my great-grandfather. With that, he unleashed a wave of power. You think you can fight me with just that? Before Ding Qua could turn, a figure zipped past. A sword sliced through the air, leaving a gash on his arm as blood splattered everywhere. Ding Qua composed himself, intending to counterattack, wondering to himself, what's going on? How could he be completely unharmed? He closed in with Sundering Claw, but Yun Che suddenly vanished into thin air. Ding Qua was stunned, unable to believe his eyes. He disappeared? Suddenly the boy appeared from above, striking down at him. The surprise attack left Ding Qua with no time to defend, and he directly spat out a mouthful of blood. Ugh! He furiously channeled his power. He unleashed a wave of energy that sent Yun Che flying back to dodge the blow. The undead spirit of Cao An quickly moved in to support him. He stepped back, silently signaling. The other one understood immediately and drew their weapon to help. Next, Kyoan raised the weapon in her hands, and Von Triet used it as a springboard. The coordination between the two was perfect. He shot past the man, leaving a gash across his stomach. Ding Qua couldn't keep up with the action and could only curse, Son of a bitch! But it didn't stop there. Von Triet's eyes were cold, glinting with killing intent. He continuously attacked the man from multiple directions, leaving Ding Qua unable to retaliate, only able to stand still and take the beating. Finally, with a single slash, Von Triet directly severed one of his arms. Ding Qua roared, his entire face contorting in agony. My arm! He frantically scrambled to order his subordinates. Damn it! Healer, heal me. Of course, Von Triet wouldn't let him get his wish. He instantly appeared right behind Ding Qua, who urgently used his gravity crush strike, yelling, Get lost! He too vanished immediately after. Von Triet reappeared outside the range of his power, taunting him, How about it, scared yet? At this point, Ding Qua only cared about his wound. Healer, why aren't you healing me already? As for the healers, they had all been wiped out by the undead skeletons. Seeing that nearly all of his subordinates had been killed, Ding Qua spoke in disbelief. Since when? Von Triet raised his voice. Did you really think my undead were still as strong as they were back in your house? He smiled with satisfaction, looking at his attribute panel, which showed a 30% increase. Empowered by a legendary grade skill, they were far superior to the guards that dropped from the Wandering Lord. By now, the man's face was filled with terror. Son of a bitch! Ding Qua decisively turned and decided to flee. Von Triet's sword suddenly grew to its maximum size and chased after him. With a loud crash, the giant sword slammed straight into the ground. It blocked Ding Qua's escape route. He gritted his teeth, trying to swallow his fear and turned to flee in another direction. The moment Din Kwa lifted his foot, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Suddenly, a series of other giant swords appeared in the air, plunging down and stabbing into the ground. Dust and rock flew everywhere, trapping him in the center. He stood frozen to the spot. His eyes trembled. Von Treat appeared calmly behind him, taunting, "The exclusive skill of the Sword Guard class. Absolute sword shield formation." He stepped closer, sneering. "No one below S rank can escape this. You can try, though." Terrified, he took out the only weapon he had left and raised it, shouting, "Don't come any closer!" Din Kwa growled. "In my hand is a void bomb. This is an S-rank item my dad gave me. If it explodes with your health level, you're dead for sure." Von Triet's expression grew even colder. He replied without fear, "Set it off, then." Seeing the undead Q-on getting closer, the man panicked and screamed, "Are you trying to die?" "With my health, even if it explodes, I can survive," Von Triet calmly explained. "Even if you blow Kyo-un to bits, I can just resurrect him." The undead Kyo-un instantly appeared behind Din Kwa and announced in a cold voice, "As for me," Von Triet emphasized each word, "you won't even get the chance to set it off." "You!" A slash as fast as light struck his remaining arm. The void bomb fell to the ground, deactivated. He commanded, "Kneel!" Knowing he had lost, Din Kwa obediently dropped to his knees. Q-Tree witnessed everything, his bright eyes filled with adoration, a satisfied smile on his face. Din Hook, beaten to a pulp, could only lie there crying in silence. Von Triet stepped on the man. He pressed his sword against Din Kwa's neck, forcing him flat on the ground. He spoke with utter contempt. "Tell me, do you think you have any value left?" The system displayed a full list of equipment. There were quite a few miscellaneous items, and even hundreds of life potions. Regarding the life potion, it restored 100 health over 10 seconds. Von Triet held the potion in his hand. But based on the recovery rate of a life potion, even if he had used it back then, it would have been just a drop in the ocean. Din Kwa stood beside him, listening. And he still would have died in that battle. After killing him, a figure glowing with turquoise light, his soul had appeared in the mirror world. Might as well make him an undead, too. Von Triet's face was grim. "So it's true. You can acquire high-level undead by killing people." The man lay unconscious on the cold ground. "But I'll spare his life for now. He might be useful later." Kyo-tree's grandfather watched his retreating figure and marveled, to be so young and yet so powerful. His gaze shifted to the couple behind him. Was he the one guiding a chi? A chi has truly become so much stronger on the inside now. Suddenly, a man spoke up. "But what are we going to do now? The 3 family heads are dead. The Din family will definitely get their revenge. We're dead for sure." A look of fear appeared on his face. "Even if that young man is strong, there's absolutely no way to survive after attacking a hero." An image of a monster appeared. It was carrying a large blade on its shoulder. "The hero who could kill our ancestor 15 years ago can only be stronger now." Von Triet silently agreed. "Exactly. If what happened here gets out, I won't have much time left to level up and get stronger." His eyes darted to the side. "I have to level up quickly to be strong enough to deal with that Din Cone guy." A level up notification appeared. "I leveled up?" Von Triet looked at the blue ghosts. It seemed sending those undead out to farm monsters was quite effective. The blue ghosts held various types of weapons in their hands. To face the monsters, based on the undead's current level and equipment, they could completely dominate this place. And of course, they made short work of those monsters. "It's just that this hidden dungeon is no longer enough to support my rapid leveling." Kyo-un stood by the cliff. "So I have to send them away." But there was a more important reason. Beneath his feet, a giant-eyed demon was hiding, and his goal was to find the lord of this secret realm. Xiao-an, holding his axe, jumped into the abyss. This wasn't like a wandering lord, it was a hidden boss. He charged straight towards the monster. The secret realm's lord is the core of the entire realm. As long as it's killed, the whole secret realm will be completely conquered. At that point, the secret realm will naturally disappear. Getting close to the monster, Xiao-an used his sword and shield absolute domain. Outside, a large crowd was gathered in front of the gate. The entrance to this secret realm had been guarded by the teachers. The fact that the Chow family members were brought into the secret realm by Third Elder Ding was definitely seen. This was Yun Che's assumption. Xiaoji's grandfather and 2 others stepped out. If the Chow family members were to leave alone now, it would definitely arouse suspicion. So he thought of another scenario. The only way was to conquer the secret realm directly and make it disappear. Then, The Chiao family could use the chaos to escape. Back to the present, he held the sword firmly in his hand. This way, the Ding family would have no way to confirm Third Elder Ding's death. That would buy them some time. After defeating the Secret Realm's leader, a level-up notification appeared, along with a message announcing the successful conquest of the realm. Everyone there was a bit bewildered. The Secret Realm is starting to disappear. Yunche's expression remained calm. I've killed the Secret Realm's lord. The disappearance of the Secret Realm will cause chaos. With Third Elder Ding's disappearance, the Ding family won't be able to react quickly. He turned his head to look back. After everyone leaves during the chaos, there won't be any danger for a short while. Yunche's voice suddenly turned serious. But if they really investigate and pressure you, his next words stunned everyone. Then just put all the blame on me. As Yunche walked, he thought. He summoned the necromancy system. The mirror world skill, which could turn everything upside down, appeared, surprising him. Yunche stared intently at the system. So, it turns out the experience points needed to upgrade Mirror World to level 3 can only be earned by killing Secret Realm Lords? The last Mirror World upgrade gave me a huge boost. If I upgrade it again, I can definitely close the gap with Ding Kun quickly. Men in iron armor were standing inside some rich person's private secret realm. A man puffed on a cigarette. Do we really need to be this serious? He rested his chin on his hand. Who would dare to invade a private secret realm like this? Why don't we just sneak in a game of cards? At that moment, he suddenly appeared behind the man. Yunche moved swiftly through the gate. Only after he was completely inside did the man feel something strange from behind. Why do I feel like someone's behind me? Must be my imagination. Yunche smirked and stepped out. Civilian guards, level 30 at most. At a private green-level gate, his figure appeared again. So these private secret realms have almost no defense against me. Yunche calmly walked through another gate as the guard panicked. Almost there. One guy rushed over but couldn't stop him from passing through. Almost there. A murderous glint appeared in Yunche's eyes. I'll soon be able to kill that Ding Kun. But before that, I need to hold back. The sword in his hand gleamed. I must remain calm. Yunche leveled up once again from killing a secret realm's lord. He reminded himself, only by being calm can I avoid making mistakes. Yunche's level rose continuously as he went from one secret realm to another. Stay calm, he thought each time. Yunche's level rose once again. He stood tall and composed. As the secret realm's lord fell, Yunche leveled up. His experience points were rising non-stop. News of the attacks on private secret realms filled the newspapers. Xiaozi's grandfather held a paper in his hand. This was done by that kid Yunche. The old man's brow furrowed. So many secret realms suddenly being conquered. It must be related to the realm we escaped from last time. He mused. This way, the Ding family's attention will be drawn to him. Xiaozi's grandfather broke into a cold sweat. He's doing all this for us. Otherwise, we would never have been able to escape this place. The other man also stared intently at the newspaper. This place is several days' journey from the Ding family's home, and it's very secluded. We barely managed to cover our tracks. The expression on his face froze. That kid, two people nearby were chatting cheerfully. Now that we're here, we don't have to worry anymore. The other replied, That's right, we're finally safe. The man sighed with emotion. We might have actually escaped the Ding family. The wall behind them suddenly exploded into pieces. Several figures appeared in the smoke. Escaped us? A sharp voice called out. Did you really think we would chase after that criminal? Where is that Yunche? Even if you have no connection to the criminal, just for daring to run from the Ding family. The speaker was Ding Hao, head of the Ding family, level 42. His hands clenched. I had to come and pay you all a little visit. Besides, are you underestimating a hero clan? Ding Hao moved closer to the group, not to mention those delusional traitors at the hero's secret realm. Even that criminal's whereabouts have been tracked down. Yunche had reached level 42. Ding Kun, I'm coming for you. At the same time, the Mirror World skill had reached level 3. Van Sa and Van Triet had safely arrived at the hero's secret realm. Van Triet stood on a mountain, looking down and thinking to himself. The highest level private secret realm I've cleared before was over 30. Continuing to upgrade this way is just too inefficient. Tens of thousands of soldiers are gathering in the castle courtyard below, but higher-level secret realms like this hero's secret realm are all managed by the state and guarded by the military. No one can get within 2 kilometers. A notification appeared before Van Triet. You have reached the exploration border. He pondered. This time, entering the mirror dimension, I can only explore within a 200-meter radius. Vansa suddenly turned her head to look at him. It's impossible to sneak into these secret realms without being discovered. Looks like I'll have to rely on her. She wagged her thumb slightly, reminding Van Triet, "So you asked me to meet you here? Don't tell me you want me to get you in. Can't be done, you know," Vansa stated. "I don't know how much you understand about my status, but even I can't get in without a pass." Then Van Triet took out 2 passes. She took them and mumbled, "Already prepared, I see." Vansa examined both sides. She told him, "A temporary pass requires an escort to avoid inspection and investigation." Then she shot Van Triet a sharp glare. "So you bypassed the Din family and want to enter this secret realm undetected? Why?" He awkwardly pointed towards the secret realm and explained, "She's in that traitor's secret realm. I also saw Kyo-an's condition." Then Van Triet smirked. "If Kyo-an isn't as evil as the propaganda says, then maybe there's something wrong with that past betrayal incident. I want to help my friend, to help the Q family clear their name. I want to find the hero and confront him." After hearing this, Vansa questioned him scornfully. "Do you take me for an idiot?" She pointed at the secret realm again and stated her argument. "You're not related to him, nor are you close. Offending a hero for some cute tree. Let's not even talk about that. You already snuck into the Din family's estate earlier." Vansa crossed her arms and asked Van Triet suspiciously, "Don't tell me you predicted what would happen to Kyo-an, and that's why you stole these passes beforehand?" Then she revealed, "Besides, not long ago the third master of the Din family entered that traitor's secret realm, specifically to cause trouble for you and Kyo-trai," Vansa continued. "But he's been missing ever since. They still haven't found him." She stared intently at Van Triet. "You clearly don't look like you're going to confront a hero. Your face doesn't show a hint of worry. It's more like you hold enmity towards the hero," Vansa deduced. "And your name is Van Triet. Could you be related to that traitor, Van Triet?" At that, Van Triet waved his hands in denial. "Don't you also have the surname Van? Could you also be related to the traitor Van Triet?" She immediately asserted, "I didn't do any of the other things." Suddenly, Vansa became melancholic. She said, "Besides, my surname isn't really Van. I just changed it because I didn't want to be bothered." Van Triet quickly used that to question her back. "Then how do you know my surname is really Van? Aren't you afraid I'll expose you?" Vansa held the pass between her fingers and threatened him. "I could report you directly to the military. Then you'd be dead for sure, you know." Van Triet hesitated for a few seconds. He looked her straight in the eye and said confidently, "I believe you won't do that." Vansa was extremely surprised to hear that. Van Triet stepped closer to her. "I believe that someone who would step forward to help a student in the secret realm, disregarding the danger, wouldn't help the Din family." He took out a diary and presented it. "This is a diary I stole from the Din family. You can see for yourself how many evil deeds the descendants of the hero Din Kon have committed. Those people rely on being the hero's descendants, to bully innocent girls and do all sorts of disgusting things," Vansa said calmly. "Just for this? Then you're naive. I don't care about that stuff." She looked at Van Triet with a strange expression and called him out. "On the contrary, I thought you were level-headed, but you so easily place your life in someone else's hands. So naive. You've never been betrayed, have you?" Van Triet suddenly let out a soft laugh. He thought to himself, "Betrayal, huh?" Vansa saw his expression and was a little surprised. She stammered, "You..." He stated, "What does it matter whether I've experienced it or not? It's not like I'd stop trusting people because of it." Van Triet stepped closer to Vansa. "I believe that your nature isn't bad." But she avoided him. She thought to herself with suspicion, "You don't seem like a good person either." She quickly turned her back to leave and urged Van Triet, "If you really trust me that much, then follow me. Let's see if I betray you and turn you in along the way." After that, Van Triet silently followed Vansa. She glanced at him. Unexpectedly, the two of them quickly arrived at the entrance to the secret realm. "To think that after all this, I'm still considered a trustworthy good person." Seeing Vansa from a distance, the guard quickly greeted her. "Ah, it's Lady Vansa. We've been instructed that Lady Vansa can enter directly." He suddenly wondered, "But why aren't you with the old master, Dindon? The old master just entered the secret realm." The guard noticed Van Triet behind her. "Is that cloaked person your bodyguard? It's not that I doubt you, but when the old master went in, he mentioned that the temporary passes from the house had been stolen. So we have to be extremely careful." Vansa mischievously pointed at him and demanded, "Not doubting me? Then what do you call this, an interrogation?" The guard frantically tried to explain. Of course, he didn't mention that the main piece of information he received was that a malicious criminal named On, along with the Mystic Realm's forces, were also heading towards the hero's Mystic Realm. She glanced over at Yun Che and smiled knowingly. The guard continued to make excuses. "We're just doing this for your safety. It's standard procedure. If your guard was replaced, then—" Yun Sa ignored him and turned to Yun Che. "They're insisting on investigating you." She cheerfully slung an arm around his shoulder, persuading him, "Oh, come on, just let them check." Then Yun Sa glared at the guards. "So you think I wouldn't recognize my own guard?" She continued to taunt them. "Maybe I've been replaced too. Why don't you investigate me while you're at it?" The guard cried out in alarm. "We wouldn't dare! If Miss Yun Sa is so certain—" "Then there's no mistake. Please, come in." And just like that, the two of them passed through the gate smoothly. As Yun Che stepped into the Mystic Realm, he thought to himself, "Her status, it seems to be even higher than I imagined." Yun Sa told him coldly, "I brought you in this time because I'm trusting you. I don't care what you plan on doing." Suddenly, she glanced back. "But this is as far as it goes. I won't help you with what comes next." Yun Che quickly released his clone and replied, "Thanks, you take it with you. What I do from here on out won't be traced back to you." She walked away nonchalantly, muttering, Guess you have some conscience after all." The clone appeared and silently followed Yun Sa. "So this is the mirror world?" Yun Che looked at the system information popping up. "The mirror world has the ability to invert all ultimate skills." He said, "I can finally use it this time. The ability I gained after upgrading the mirror world to level 3. Just then, Yun Che immediately opened his skill panel. A notification popped up showing he had used the mirror world skill. It slowly began to affect the Mystic Realm. Yun Che thought to himself, "A level 3 mirror world can copy the monsters from the real world's Mystic Realm." He unleashed his full power. "From now on, I can grind monsters freely in the mirror world without worrying about being discovered." In an instant, Yun Che appeared in another location. More importantly, Yun Che mused from a high vantage point, "Even if I leave the mirror world, the undead can stay behind and grind levels for me. To think they built an entire city inside the Mystic Realm," he thought to himself. "I should scout the area first." Under the vast sky, twilight gently fell upon the kingdom. Yun Che deduced from the information in the Ding family's journal, "That must be where Ding Kun is. I know very little about him." He calculated, "All I know is that he reached S rank 15 years ago. After that, it seems he never showed his true strength in public. Not even the third elder Ding is sure." Yun Che hypothesized, "If I had more detailed intelligence, my chances of dealing with him would be much higher. In my past life, I knew everyone who reached S rank, but this guy just appeared out of nowhere." Pulling himself from his thoughts, he turned to ask Chao An, "Bon Bon, do you know who he is?" He just stared back with a blank, foolish expression. Yun Che sighed in frustration. "Still no good, huh? It's obvious that when the mirror world leveled up to 3, the intelligence of the undead also saw a marked increase." Yun Che looked at Chao An. Bon Bon's improvement was the most obvious. He felt a bit of regret. "But he's still not at a point where we can communicate." Yun Che wondered, maybe if the mirror world keeps leveling up, Bon Bon will regain more of his consciousness? Meanwhile, over at the castle, a voice rang out. "Dad, you always doted on Third Brother the most. You can't just sit there and do nothing." Ding Dan shouted, "We still don't know where Third Brother is." He then explained, "According to the intel from Sujian, that criminal actually dared to come near this hero's mystic realm." Hearing this, Ding Kun slowly stood up. Ding Dan pleaded repeatedly, "To be able to capture Third Brother without a sound, I'm afraid that person is also S rank. To be safe, I'm begging you to handle this for me, Father. Of course, if we could get the class change certificate." He didn't say a word in response. Instead, he decisively stabbed straight through him. Ding Kun lectured bluntly, "You're this old, and you can't even stop a little brat, yet you dare to tell me what to do?" Ding Dan reeled from the shock and pain. He then asserted, "That brat just reached S rank and got the class change quest. He wouldn't even be able to withstand a single blow from me." Ding Kun spoke venomously. "It was a pain keeping a useless piece of trash like you around. I only did it so you could take better care of my grandson." He drained his energy. "In the end, not only did you lose the boy, but now you're telling me to clean up your mess?" Ding Dan now looked incredibly old and pathetic. Ding Kun raged, "Do you have any idea? Losing Third Brother means I've lost a family member. It also cost me several years of my own life. Do you understand?" Meanwhile, the arrogant Ding Yan was sitting on a slave's back. He commanded smugly, "Hurry up and grab it. Go on, take it." Ding Yan jeered, "Once it's all eaten, there'll be nothing left." Just then, Nancy approached and said, Young master, your pet hasn't eaten meat in days. How about... At that moment, Yunche was also there. He observed silently. Compared to this place, the Ding family outside the mystic realm is incredibly restrained. Do I have to reveal myself? Suddenly, he sensed something that surprised him. Beside him, Chao An was radiating a blazing fury. Seeing this, Yunche was filled with admiration. Bonbon, even in this state you still want to save people? He recalled every detail about the children from the disaster zone. At first, you and Lan Kan were the kindest and strongest people. Van Triet remembered those days. He was being bullied by a thug. A slave like you dares to steal the master's food? Where did this little brat come from? Get lost. He admitted that was the reason I took you two as my students and trained you. Van Triet placed his hopes in you, believing that after you became stronger, you could help others. He blamed himself. But in the end, I was the one who harmed you, who turned you into what you are now. Suddenly, Kiwan seemed to want to express something. Lan Kan? Van Triet was completely stunned. Bonbon? You're conscious? You can... He tried to speak. Kiwan mustered all his strength to say, Kon Lan. Kan is Din Kon. As soon as Van Triet heard this, shock filled his eyes. On the other side, after finishing off Din Don, Din Kon muttered, Van Triet. He realized it. Did Van Triet intentionally use this name to challenge me? Din Kon revealed his true form. To think, after all these years, I'd hear this name again. He gave a sinister smile. Let's see who dares to impersonate you, my dear master. Under the twilight sky, Din Ngan gently stroked the monsters. You're all my good little treasures. He cherished them. These past few days I've been busy taking care of my other pets. You're all very hungry, aren't you? Then, Din Ngan spun around with a twisted expression. The little girl on the ground became terrified when she saw him. He growled an order. Anyway, I'm bored of playing with them. Eat them all. The moment he finished speaking, the green monsters immediately lunged at the weak little girl. Before they could even make a move, they were stopped by a sudden force. In an instant, Van Triet rushed out at incredible speed. He slashed the monsters, sending them flying in all directions. He glanced over coldly, his mind racing. Lan Kan, how could you be Din Kon? He was utterly confused. How can you be Din Kon? Din Ngan backed away in fear. Who are you? Seeing this, Nam Tu stepped forward. You intruder, you really don't know your place, daring to come to a hero's territory to die. But Van Triet's mind was still reeling. How could you be the Din Kon who raised this scum? Flashing back to the past, he explained earnestly, because power has surpassed the rules of class users, this is no longer the era of knights, Van Triet said. But as the descendant of a knight, I still want to pass something on. He promised, under my guidance, your strength will definitely surpass that of ordinary class users. Van Triet set a condition. If you still want to continue learning from me, then you must remember the following points. He began to lay out the rules. First, be humble. During practice, Kiwan excitedly left Din Kon far behind. He laughed happily. Your whirlwind slash isn't as fast as my harvesting scythe. Van Triet stated, there is no fundamental difference between yourself and others. Be polite and respect everyone. After they finished a job, the owner paid them. Here's your reward, kids. He politely accepted it. Thank you, sir. But Kiwan was dismissive. That's it? Don't be so stingy, old man. Seeing this, Van Triet scolded him. Shut your mouth. Din Kon quickly tried to calm him down. Don't make the master angry. He was furious. You clearly have no politeness or respect for me at all. However, Van Triet still gave them something extra. This is an additional reward from me. Remember this feeling and don't become arrogant. In the present, he carried those thoughts with him, along with his godlike combat speed. He destroyed Nam Tu's arcane shield skill. The man was hit by the blow and couldn't help but be astonished. This attack powered, how is this possible? This... Van Triet swept past, leaving his opponent with only a cold glare. Nam Tu was furious seeing his defensive gear destroyed. That's my level 30 legendary gear. Damn it! He still arrogantly ordered. A reptile dares to strike at an eagle? You peasant, show him the difference in our power levels. He didn't respond. Instead, he immediately charged straight ahead. Van Triet remembered his second rule. You must know compassion. Be kind to the weak, especially the helpless. Always fight against violence and injustice with compassion. Back then, they both always listened and followed those teachings. He thought to himself, I rescued you two from that slave trading organization. You two were hurt before, so you should understand the helplessness of the weak. You must make the most rational judgment. Van Triet moved forward and slashed at the two of them. However, at that moment, Din Yan gloated, "Hitting our shadows must make him very happy." He challenged, "If you like, there are plenty more things for you to slash at." He remained unshaken, focusing his observation on his surroundings. Din Nan looked puzzled. "But you seem to always have that angry look on your face." He speculated, "Could it be because of these peasants? Perhaps you have family here? Now that would be interesting." Din Yan provoked him. "Go on, try slashing us again. I wonder what your expression will be," he added, "after you finish slashing us and realize you've cut down them instead." Van Triet quickly increased his attack power by 10%. He began to activate the power of the mirror world to distinguish the real from the fake shadows. In a flash, Van Triet lunged straight for his intended target. Din Yan cried out in surprise. "Impossible! How could you see through it?" He taught them that the third principle was to be heroic, fearless, and brave when facing a secret realm. Not to be cowards, but to fight for justice. His two disciples at the time were incredibly righteous and followed his every word. Shaoan complained about that old geezer. "We almost died, you know." Ding Kun also exclaimed, "That was really too dangerous." Van Triet immediately reassured them, "Don't worry. Actually, I was always nearby watching." Escaping from his past, he now realized the truth. "Damn it. This guy is a bit too strong. You useless piece of trash. Don't you know how to use illusions? Stop him for me. Buy me some time to escape." Ding Yan quickly fled, not forgetting to threaten, "If anything happens to me, my grandfather will kill you." Now Nam Tu was left alone, panicking. Human bewitchment. He unleashed all sorts of skills like paralyzing powder and earth summons, but without being able to use illusions, it would be very difficult for a magic user like himself. Looking around, Nam Tu became even more shocked. Where did that guy go? Suddenly, he appeared unexpectedly, right in the man's blind spot. Van Triet decisively launched an attack, giving Nam Tu no time to react. The man was hit instantly, trembling as he begged for mercy. I beg you, please spare me. I'm not part of the Ding family. I was just hired." "If you want to deal with the Ding family, then you should go find Ding Nian." Without a moment's hesitation, he finished him off. Van Triet was still muttering in his head, "4 is the spirit of sacrifice." Meanwhile, Chaoan gently dragged Ding Nian back, who was cursing non-stop. What the hell are you? I am the grandson of a hero!" Ding Yan screamed. "If you touch me, I'll make sure your entire family doesn't die a peaceful death." He calmly took all of his equipment. This sent Ding Yan into a panic. What are you going to do with it?" 4. He recalled each instruction. 5 is to be honest. Images flashed through his mind. 6 is justice. The scene of Chiao An being framed appeared in Van Triet's memory. He stood firm. 7 is honor. 8 is soul. As soon as the thought finished, Van Triet unleashed a terrifying power, throwing the space into chaos. Ding Nagan, terrified and having lost all reason, lay on the ground. He stood on the city wall, reflecting that Lan Kan hadn't listened to his teachings at all, and he even betrayed Bon Bon. Yes. Van Triet was furious. "And yet you still condone your descendants doing such evil things like this. Why?" Suddenly, Ding Kun appeared from behind, responding, "What do you mean? Why?" He immediately punched him in the back. "There are many pleasures in my secret realm." After that punch, the terrifying destructive power shattered many of the city's sturdy walls. The space was thrown into chaos in an instant, thick with dust and smoke. Van Triet immediately used countless basic healing spells on himself. At the same time, he boosted his attack power. Beneath his cloak were pieces of equipment that could only be dropped by the lord of a secret realm. Van Triet called out in a low voice, "Lan Kan, why?" Meanwhile, Ding Kun slowly approached. He was a class-changed warrior who had reached level 71. He seized the opportunity and threw a skill at Ding Kun. When the skills hit him and shattered, Ding Kun quickly realized, "A mirror?" Taking advantage of the opening, Van Triet instantly appeared in his blind spot. He swung his blade down, full of anger, questioning, "Why did you betray me?" The armor on his face gradually shattered, revealing his true face. Ding Kun gently touched the broken part of his armor and gave a mocking smile. "To think you could break my armor? Your speed and attack power aren't half bad, huh?" On the other side, as soon as Van Triet saw his opponent's face, his eyes flashed with fury. His body began to tremble. He spoke in a hoarse voice. "Lan Kan, it's really you. Why did you betray me?" "Betrayal!" Ding Kun let the sword in his hand hang loosely. He softly asked again, "Betrayal?" Then his eyes suddenly became lifeless as he said in a cold voice, "You just called me Van Triet, and you even know my old name. Right after that,
Sahibi, Oba Sayiti.
he grabbed his sword and lunged towards Van Triet, saying, "Could it be that old geezer sent you?" A single slash was unleashed, and the entire wall behind. Van Triet was sliced in two, but his body was nowhere to be seen. Seeing him suddenly disappear, he was also surprised and froze for a few seconds, sensing that he had circled behind him. His eyes turned cold again, his voice filled with contempt. "Trying to pretend to be my master? How utterly disgusting!" Van Triet angrily slashed straight at him, but he blocked it with his hand. He roared in anger. "I asked you why you betrayed me!" He answered with disdain. "You're nothing but a tool! Why talk so much?" Then he slammed a powerful blow into him, but he disappeared once again. Then he appeared beside him, while the aftershock of that attack also blew away all the surrounding walls. At this moment, a shadow with his exact appearance had appeared next to Van Triet. It was his skill, Sword Shield Absolute Domain. Van Triet asked, "Where is he?" The shadow charged towards Ding Kun, shouting, "Lan Kan!" Seeing the shadow about to rush him, Ding Kun parted his lips as if he wanted to say something. Then he lunged at the shadow, grabbing it by the neck and slamming it forcefully to the ground. He roared in anger, "Bon Bon, how are you still alive? Tell me how you did it!" Ignoring him, Van Triet's shadow used the skill Golden Light Barrier, creating a halo of light to envelop itself. Even so, Ding Kun still easily crushed the golden ring. After that, he became indifferent. "So it's an undead spirit, huh?" He raised his hand to block Van Triet, who was about to launch a sneak attack from behind, while saying contemptuously, "Although it can be revived as many times as you want, it doesn't seem to have much intelligence. What a pity." As soon as he finished speaking, Ding Tan, Ding Quang, and Ding Qian suddenly appeared on a nearby roof. Ding Tan asked, "Father, why haven't you come out yet?" Ding Qian chimed in, "This kind of petty thief? Just let us deal with him." Van Triet glanced at them, frowning slightly. "Annoying." Then he used his undead summoning skill and commanded, "You all, go and stop them. Now." Din Kon's attention fell upon one of the undead. He softly called out, only to see the undead stand there soullessly, not responding. Seeing this, he gritted his teeth in anger and said, "This state, he really is dead. My drop of blood." He then turned to look at Van Triet, his eyes bloodshot, and said, "I'm starting to take an interest in you. Though dead, you've been resurrected as..." As he spoke, he lunged at him. Van Triet took a step back, easily dodging him. He continued, "Master, hurry up and prove to me that you are my master." His face gradually became crazed as he went on, "You must be my beloved master." Seeing Din Kon's condition, Van Triet's brow furrowed slightly. "Ask whatever you want, I'll answer everything, but I have nothing to hide from you. In the beginning, even when you were locked in a cage, you still helped others, didn't you?" With that, he raised his sword, his attribute points skyrocketing as he did. He swung a powerful blow towards Din Kon. Van Triet roared in anger, "Just why did you change and become this insane?" Din Kon, now seemingly completely mad, laughed and replied, "Isn't it all because of you, my dear master?" Hearing this, Van Triet could no longer restrain himself. He questioned angrily, "What kind of nonsense is that? Thanks to whom were you able to escape slavery? Thanks to whom were you able to become a proper class user? What did I teach you?" Faced with his series of questions, Din Kon suddenly burst out laughing and asked back, "Why?" He then lunged at Van Triet again, roaring, "It's because you were too late to save me." He remembered his tragic past. "Why did you make me endure so much suffering before coming to save me?" His eyes grew redder with anger. "Why is it that while we were both your disciples, the son of a knight got to live so comfortably? Everyone was so polite to him." Then he remembered his former teammate. "Why that Q Bonbon, who never went through anything, get to be treated like that?" Thinking about those things, he looked up to the sky and lamented, "Why is he stronger than me at everything?" From lament, he turned to madness. "Why did you favor Q Bonbon? Is it because he was born cleaner than me?" After his frenzy, he became suspicious again. "Why did you make me change my class to Berserker?" He looked at Van Triet, his eyes filled with killing intent, and asked, "I was a coward, so I had to become a Berserker, is that it? Shouldn't I have become a swordsman for higher defense?" Faced with Din Kon's question, Van Triet stood stunned for a moment at his current state. Then he replied, "When did I ever show favoritism?" Then he also got angry and said, "Weren't you always trying your best, wanting to become braver and stronger? That's why I—" Before he could finish, Din Kon screamed, cutting him off. "Isn't that because you liked him more? You loved that Bonbon more!" Din Kon's voice began to tremble. "But I clearly tried my best to be brave too." You were biased against me, weren't you? He clutched his head in anguish, looking at Van Triet with eyes full of killing intent, and continued, Deep down, you just wished I had never been born, right? What's the point of pretending? Seeing Van Triet's expressionless face, he finally exploded completely. Compassion? Humility? To hell with the knight's virtues. His eyes were bloodshot as he looked at him and said, Did any of that help me live a better life? Wasn't your kindness just a product of your own power and status? I'm not like that fool Bon Bon. Being fooled by you into being a complete idiot? What a waste of time and opportunities to level up just to run around saving people. Then he suddenly smiled, his voice softening. And you talk about betrayal? Then he looked up to the sky and screamed, If you could choose Bon Bon, then of course I could choose someone else. Your good brother Laui could give me far greater status and power. After that, a mysterious aura began to emanate from his body. Look at what has become of Bon Bon's descendants now, and look at what has become of mine. Then he smiled and said, They can only be servants under my Dean family. Thinking of Laui's statue now, he sneered at Van Triet and said, Just look at the state you're in now, and then go see what kind of status Laui has. Not noticing the aura beginning to radiate from Van Triet, he continued, Now who do you think made the right choice? He stood there silently, listening to him finish. Then he could no longer hold back and exploded, You goddamn wolf in sheep's clothing! With that, Van Triet charged towards Dincon with his sword. Thanks to his speed, Van Triet continuously flickered in and out of sight around Dincon, while he could do nothing. Then, after a lunge from Dincon, he successfully got behind him. A single slash to his back sent a piece of his armor flying, shattering it. Following that, he quickly slashed the rest of his armor to pieces. When he was done, Van Triet said softly, You really can't compare to Bon Bon. He stared at him with furious eyes. He continued, You're not even worthy of touching his toe.